I think it's a good time to get the show started. Don't you? Hello everyone, and welcome along to the Blackout Racing League, Week 6 of Season 16. And as you can tell, it is today the Pain and the Pain Grand Prix. In other words, Imola and Spain. And the reason why it's the Pain and Pain Grand Prix is not because they're excessively eating carbs, although they probably are, given the circumstances. No, what's actually happened is we are on F124. That is what's happening. I can confirm. And that means the world is essentially imploding as I speak. So, let me give you some background in terms of exactly what's been said in terms of F124. I have a quote from Timolele saying, "It feels like Mario Kart." Not a great start, but that's only the opinion of one person, so it could be better as we look down. Milo says the best piece of advice on F124 is never open it in the first place. Yeah, that's okay. That's two people now, but you know, okay, it's not the vast majority. No changes to how it feels in corner. Okay, let me give you a full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen. I went back on F124 after the handling patch happened because I simply refused to play it, but I gave it a chance just to see if they had changed stuff. They hadn't changed anything. Genuinely, I kid you not. Oh my god. I can't even describe to you how it feels to drive. You know if you put Gorilla Glue on a hovercraft? Probably not a lot of you will know what that is like, but luckily for you, I do. It's like that, essentially. You feel like you're sliding about. You know what it is? The front end is glued to the track. Absolutely glued. The rear end is jittery. It's it's frantic, it's mad, it's absolutely crazy. Hello, big boy! That's to Mr. Wilco. How are you doing, man? I hope you're doing well. Hope you're gonna thrive and enjoy the chaos of what is our first week on F124. So, what can we expect this week, then? Firstly, what you can expect is forget everything you expect. Forget everything. Throw the form book and all of the books or scripts out of the window. Wilco says kill or be killed. He is not wrong. This could be interesting. There are quite a few people that have turned off assists for this week as well on F124, turning over a new leaf, reaching out the olive branch to the Formula 1 gods to see if they'll look down upon them favourably in this first week of Blackout. However, much akin to the name of this league racing series, it's probably how their race is going to end. It's going to be interesting. Luckily for me, I get to commentate this, which is fantastic. I get to indulge in the chaos and revel in the ravishing magnificence of racecraft, which probably won't happen, but I'm looking forward to whatever chaos happens anyway. Wilco says I'm one of them. Oh, you have joined the no assists brigade. Welcome along, my friend. It was a lot more fun on F123, I'll tell you that much for free. Do you know what I judge? Do you know what I judge, actually, the barometer of handling on? I'll tell you what I do. I bought Assetto Corsa. There's not many racing sims you can buy on Xbox that are great. Assetto Corsa itself is also very restricted, but I bought it for Xbox anyway. I've given it a try. I've only tried it out for 4 days. And the way I kind of judge it is that F123 is not too dissimilar in some regards. It's not completely sim-based, like the sliding and the braking. But otherwise, in terms of the actual characteristics of the car and the feeling, it's not that far off, unbelievably. F124 is it's completely alien. It's extraterrestrial. You're more likely to find a better handling model on Neptune than you are on F124. So, I think that says it all, really. And you might be thinking, Carl, you can't talk bad about F124. Well, I'm on my Twitch channel, so yes, I can. But enough about talking about that. We're going to have a cracking week, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, we head over to the calendar. And here it is. And as you can see here, we have Imola as our first race of the day. 35%. For those of you that are new to Blackout, we have normally a 35% race as the first race of the day. And a Spanish Grand Prix for the 50% race, for this week anyway. It's normally a 35 and a 50. It can be swapped round, but normally that is the way the status quo goes. You might be wondering why Spain looks like that. Given we're on F124, it's highly appropriate. That is all I will say. Next week, we have the Silverstone race. the British Grand Prix as the second race. And speaking of the British Grand Prix, I mean, what can you say about the British Grand Prix? Not only did Lewis Hamilton win his 104th race in Formula 1, extending his total wins, making him the most successful driver around a single track, extending the record for the most successful driver at their home track in terms of statistics. My brother says, welcome to Dodgems 24. If you squint and close your eyes and you picture the title of F1 24, you might actually see Dodgems. That's probably what it's going to end up like. I do apologise if you saw me whiffing around in terms of my settings and F1 24 randomly appearing on the screen briefly. My OBS has been quite weird, and F1 24 has greeted me with the open arms of suffocation in terms of setting my aspect ratio to 1600 by 900, which, for those of you not too keyed into the modern monitor standards, is not HD, which I'm not happy about. So I changed it to 1920 by 1080, and then OBS said no. So I've readjusted it, and it's okay now. Speaking of which, I'm going to put it on the screen now. How is this menu screen? Can you all see it? Is it looking good? Please tell me now if it isn't. I give you 3 seconds. Okay, that's your 3 seconds up. I think everything is working well. Time works differently in the time zone I am in, so back to the standby screen we go. Speaking of the standby screen, as always, a huge shout out to the person that made me not only this standby screen right here, but also this stream starting screen that you would have seen, and also, what you'll see later, the stream ending screen. Speaking of which, that's the end of the stream. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Nah, I'm just kidding, obviously. But Mr. Magico, RD Magico on Twitch, made all of these that you see in front of you, and he made a lot of the banners that you see down below my Twitch video. So if you want to go and follow him, do it now, because you should. And other than that, let's put the standby screen back on, and we are going to get ready, if the lobby is up. It is indeed up. I'm going to join my first F1 24 lobby. This is exciting, guys! For me. I don't know about everyone else, but I'm going to enjoy this a lot. There are some badges nearby. My badge looks like it's about to kill someone, but let's ignore that for the time being. We've got Buck 20. The Papaya Pros are raring and ready to go on Bumper Cars 24, which is good. So we wait with bated breath. I feel like I should continue the conversation on F1 24, but that'll be an entire stream in itself. The main feeling I have is disappointment currently, given that now there are even more... Oh my gosh, no, actually, they put it in the Blackout chat. Could hear me in-game just now. Oh no. That's not good. Let me turn that off. There we go. No, never mind. It's still reading me. For God's sake. I hate this game. Hang on, they can still hear me. I'm turning it off now, I promise. As if F1 24 couldn't shaft me any more than it already has. I want audio. Found it. F1 24 is a sexy game, said no one. I want to cry. Where can I set a... Oh, push to talk on. Ha! There we go. Now they can't hear me. Mute by default. Now they definitely can't hear me. Fixed. Why is my brother telling me to put on tinnitus relief, please? Right, here we go then. He asked for this, bearing in mind. Right, everyone, welcome to Blackout. Oh. I thought it just constantly played on infinitum. Apparently not. Well, there you go. Well, welcome to the Blackout Racing League. If you wanted to be deaf, you now can be. There we go. Right. Booyaka Shah. Is it fixed? I'm pretty sure it is, but if it isn't, then there's some aliens going on already, and it's only just begun on F1 24. I muted everybody else. I don't know if that meant I muted myself. I'm sure they had a great time listening to me have an existential crisis in the lobby. Think so. We can always mute all too. Fantastic. Good stuff. I've muted all and done every other precaution imaginable to make sure that never happens again. First race of the day is Imola. Now, main thing about F124 is the curbs are advisory. They are non-existent. So all you need to know is that the driver that can make the most of the track limits is inevitably the one that will be the fastest. So prepare yourselves, everyone. And also the spectator mode. I don't know if it's fixed. I don't know if they've actually sorted out the proximity of engine sounds and other things. But if they have, great. But presumably they haven't, so I'm going to actually jump off my ground floor. Anywho, look at those beautiful orange eyes. I don't have orange eyes, but actually I do quite like orange eyes. What have I become? So, we're just waiting to get underway. 4 people here. Hello, everyone. How's it going? Hope you're all doing very well indeed. I'd like to say, firstly, not ill's the right word. I felt, it wasn't even ill. I just felt under the weather. I felt ill last weekend. That wasn't great. And I genuinely thought, oh, here we go again. But no, I'm feeling perked up. I am ready, and I don't mean perked up in the sense that I need to be put in an asylum. I mean in terms of that I'm not rehabilitating. I am coping, and that's all you need to know. Everyone just lobbying up. I was gonna say before I went off on a slight tangent, apart from the fact I'm feeling a lot better, thank you for asking, is the championship is looking very tasty indeed. As I'm now heading over to my Google Sheet. And what that Google Sheet will tell me, I've gone on to season 15. I won. Yeah! Sorry, it's obligatory for me to rub it in now, isn't it? What I actually wanted to check is the championship standings. Ladies and gentlemen, there is only 2 points at the top of the championship. 2 points. That is all that's in it. And it's between the T's again. Honestly, what is up with people beginning with a T? Stop it. Leave some talent for the rest of us. But it's Timalele, 2 points ahead of Terziak. 262 points versus 260 points. Milo third on 208. Stark in fourth on 170. Thanasi in fifth on 143. Then we have Dirk in sixth. Magico is seventh in the championship, which is well done you, sir. That is pretty incredible. Big Swimmer is eighth on 100 points. I was going to say square, but 100 is very much a round number, so we'll ignore that. J-Lane's on 95 in 9th. Jamie Tarquin on 91 in 10th. Buck 20 in 11th on 89. And then it carries on being Vulcan, Buck 57, Maximus Slam, Pathyman, Wilco, Giraffe, Avalanche, and To Be Confirmed are the last to score points. Who is To Be Confirmed? How is To Be Confirmed? No one ever asks how he is, but I'm sure he's doing great. We are going to get underway very soon, I'm sure. I don't know how many times I've said that, but we are going to get what was that? What was that English? One thing to note as well is that equal cars aren't quite fixed, so I would assume that people are going to be in what's the word? In the player car, that's the one. That wasn't very difficult to spur out, was it? But I assume they'll be in the player car. Teams will be exactly the same. So Miller and Buck 20 are still McLaren drivers. Mr. Magico and Timalele are Mercedes drivers, etc. Wilco says, think it's my first race. Well, you've got 16 points in the championship standings. So I assume you had... Well, oh, no, you had the first week. You had Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, didn't you? I'm pretty sure you did. I remember that because I slightly cursed your Saudi Arabia race. Sorry. I'm that good. He scored 16 points. He wasn't even there. Quite right, too. Also, this stream could get a bit more tasty because at the moment I'm using my current microphone that I use, which is a Blue Yeti. Does the job very well. It's also got a dead cat on it. No, it doesn't. The dead cat's the name for the really, really bushy thing that they usually put on shotgun microphones, I think it is. It's not a dead cat on it. Instead, it's a dead Siamese cat. In other words, it's less fluffy. A lot less fluffy. A Siamese, I think it's a Sphinx, actually, is the right cat. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. Enough talking about pussycat panache. The main point is that I've got this little mic cover on it. Life is fantastic. And the Blue Yeti is so be very, very well indeed. However, I was going to say quite recently. It wasn't quite recently. It was a long time ago. PETA are furiously typing. Unfortunately, they haven't caught me yet. And they'll never know where I am. In my underground bunker in Turkmenistan. It's got great Wi-Fi. I've got... Anyway, as I was saying, I was going to say quite recently. It's not quite recently. It was about 3 or 4 months ago now. I got an Audio Technica commentary headset thing. And I'm going to give that a try for the next race. It might be some teething issues. It might be incredibly quiet at first. But it's a good time to just test out if it works. How it works and whether it will continue to be absolutely fantastic. I've already mixed that down to mono, haven't I? I'm just talking to myself now. Yes, I have. Doesn't really matter that I have, to be honest with you. Because why would I not want it on mono? Unless mono just makes it really loud, but it hasn't. So that is a good thing. Whoop-de-doo. What time is it for you? It is time to get yourselves prepared. And I don't mean that in a weird way. I mean that in the way of, if you've been here for Blackout Racing before, you'll know the score. If you haven't, then I'm just saying get ready, because you don't really understand the gravity of what's about to ensue. A new game, some of the finest drivers on the Formula 1 gaming scene, and a commentator that absolutely loathes F1 24. Listen, it swings and roundabouts, ladies and gentlemen. I was going to talk about Silverstone some more before then. Sear Forest says, chaos galore. You are quite correct. And by that I mean very correct. It's going to be an interesting time this week, I'm pretty sure. I was going to say, Silverstone, I hope you all enjoyed it, because I certainly did. Like I said, not only just because Lewis Hamilton has extended many records and won a race again in F1 finally, which is thoroughly deserved, but equally because it was just a great race. It was an absolutely fantastic race. Mixed conditions, the choice of whether to brave out the rain or not, McLaren fumbling the bag. That was really bad. I'm absolutely shocked they didn't double stack Piastri in that first set of pit stops. Absolutely criminal. I cannot believe they didn't. And I think they would have got a 1-2, or at least a 1-3. Piastri would have been able to defend against the Mercedes, against Verstappen later on in the race. But no, they fumbled it. They completely fumbled the bag, and as a result, Norris had to settle for P3. Piastri P4, so it doesn't sound bad on the surface. But equally, it could have and should have been so much more. But we shall never know. It's short qualifying time. Get ready, because it's about to get heavy. Screw you, Debbie. It's Imola. And as you can tell, we are in player cars, which is good to see. I think there should be a livery designing fest between teammates. Look at that. We are on a new F1 game. Whether the spectator stuff works correctly, speaking of which, get me a track map right now. And also get me, not some detail, I want some lap data. The first one out onto the track then is, of course it is, it's Mr. Dirkleton. Fantastic. Out onto the track he goes, and actually, for the time being, that is a bit too quiet. That is a bit too quiet. I cannot believe that. Or maybe, just maybe. Actually, no, 5 seems like too much. I'm going to go 4. There we go. That should be fine. On the outside perspective, that was slightly laid back on the audio side of things. Slightly pregnant pause between each passing of the camera, but through this one, let's hear it. Well, if that last camera was it, then it did very well. You know what? Around here, at least, it's not that bad. So, Dirkleton's out on an outlap, as is Mr. Millo, as is the biggest swimmer in the country. And so it begins. Big Sam going for that fluorescent blue and orange livery, reminiscent of the Golf McLaren livery, apart from in every single detail. What has Millo gone for? Well, he's gone for the white and orange, reminiscent to McLaren's Triple Crown Celebration livery from last year, apart from in every single detail. And Dirkleton, Well, he's invalidated his outlap already, but he's gone purple and, I was going to say gold, but it looks slightly more mustard. Which is not a criticism at all. You've got to appreciate the art. Out of the final corner, let's ride on board with Dirk. The first lap on F124 begins now. Heading down the back straight underneath Mick Schumacher's cruises for the first time. Absolutely demolishing the overtake button. Hardly anything left on the ERS. Can take loads of curb. I didn't think there were sausage curbs there originally, but I guess I'm wrong. They may have put them back. I don't know. Through this corner, again, not really using the curbs as much as possible. Even on the onboard, you can see how sensitive the car is. Hardly any steering lock. It's more like driving a go-kart. Or as Tim says, Mario Kart. Which some could say that's harsh, but I'm afraid it's harsh but true. Through Piratella for the first time, and it's invalidation stations for Dirkleton. That will be one lap in the skip. And he has to recuperate, regroup, and go again on the next lap. Big Swimmer, he's still on a lap. Doesn't overextend Piratella, and so into mineral water we go. They have updated the tarmac on the outside, but not the sausage curbs. I don't know how to feel about that. Into the chicane. It's not... I don't know what the chicane's called. I can't remember. I don't really care either at the moment. But through there, no track limits exceeded. Maybe a bit more of a straight lining jobby to do through there. But cool, collected and composed from the Big Swimmer as he heads through the left-hander and then one last corner to traverse before completing the first qualifying lap in Blackout on F124 across the line. And it's a 1 minute 18.8. Very nicely done. And so now we head to Mr. Millo. I suspect for a lot of the drivers, it's practice even in the qualifying session, given the handling model. Millo goes 2.3 seconds faster. And with the triple, not triple crown livery, he has stamped his authority straight away. Plenty of other drivers on lap times. I don't know who's crossing the line next. It's a white car. Across the line they go, and it's just starting a lap. Across the line, the next car goes, and it's buck 20 to go P2. This is going to get very confusing very quickly indeed. Next up is a grey car, and that will be Mr. Magico going through the final corner. Flap open to the max. Across the line he goes, and it's 1 minute 20.8. For those of you wondering what the pole lap was on F123's final season of Imola, it was 1 minute 13.9, I think it was. Into the gravel goes Mr. Magico, though. Perhaps going for a second push lap. He's got full battery and the full complement of VRS to use. But that is not the way he would have wanted to start proceedings. Wilco moves up to P4. Terziak into P2. It's normal service resumed for him. Millo, the former championship leader, though, with just over 3 tenths worth of a gap. That is what separates him and the rest of the field so far. Thanasi, though, is on a lap. And whether he's not exactly pushing to the max, the Energizer Bunny is looking very relaxed at the moment. Through the final 2 corners goes Thanasi, or Zeus. The 97,943 could be the amount of times he's spun on this game, but it's 5th place, and that is without using any battery. Now he's sending the Energizer Bunny to gym class, because that Energizer Bunny, he's going to have no legs by the end of it. Through the first couple of corners, through Tamburello, a huge snap of oversteer. Extremely well saved by the 2-time champion on F123. Is it new game, new Thanasi? Well, for his sake, he'll hope it's different, but an invalidation will not be part of the script. He was a second up through the first sector had he not invalidated. And, well, it's all hearsay. He's going to have to regroup and go again next time out. Meanwhile, across the line, cometh the man, cometh the Dirkleton. He's invalidated. Well, there's a white car on the road. It's Mr. Stark, ladies and gentlemen. On for his first lap of F124 in league racing in Blackout. DRS flap wide open. Maximum flappage as he ferociously forces his way into turn... I don't like how that sounded. I'm so sorry. Tamburello executed well. No histrionics. No random snaps of oversteer, which seem to be the bugbear of F124 among many, many other things. But through the Villeneuve chicane goes Mr. Stark. The car darting into the apex like no tomorrow. Got the turning circle of a tabby cat. There's so much darting. It's absolutely immense. Through Piratella. Can he keep it within track limits? Answer to that question is a very quick yes. Mineral water. Will he spice up your life and make it a fizz? The answer is almost. Almost invalidates his lap, but keeps it going. Will he have more of a straight line approach into this chicane? He's purple through the second sector, and that was very, very, very conservative through there, which will lose you all kinds of things because Labour are in power. But through to the final two corners, the first left and the second left, I thought they were Rivazzas, but I don't want to say that at the risk of being hideously incorrect. Stark across the line, but with a purple sector too, it only garners him P6. And as you can tell, for Team Rotisserie Blade, it was 4 abreast, but Big Sam has cut that straight down the middle. Into 5th he goes with a 1 minute 17.2. The driver's learning all the time in terms of the handling model and the conditions. Who's next across the line? Not Dirkleton is the answer. Into the pits actually comes, I think that's Buck 20. That's just peeled into the pit lane. A very, well, sort of orange car. It's Mr. J Lane. Completing a lap across the line he goes, and he goes into P6. Not that far off Big Sam for the time being. Just over 400ths in it. No, it's not. No, never mind. 3,500ths in it. 35,000ths in it. I know what time is. Next across the line is not Jemble Tarquin. It's Buck 57 across the line into P2 he goes with a 1 minute 16.1. Nicely executed, sir. Now we wait and see what everyone else's gauntlet is. Jamie Tarquin will go for a lap. Use that as a cooldown. Now it's all guns blazing, as he is hopefully going to be the trailblazer here at the Emilia-Romagna Pizza Pasta Pancetta Pesto Grand Prix. They have a lot of food and sponsors there, but through Tamburello, absolutely no stone unturned. No quarter given to track limits. He's absolutely flown through the Villeneuve chicane, but it's an invalidation. It is an invalidation, and I'll be completely honest with you, it did not look like an invalidation from where I was looking. It's right on board. Looking at proceedings, I was almost pretty much 100% confident it was within track limits, but, well, the FIA said no, sir. Naughty Tarkle. Through Villeneuve, that is definitely an invalidation. Miller with a spin, but he's lucky that the left rear is the one that tags the wall. And the driver's already trying to find the limits and overextending those limits. The pressure piling on all the time. Not least for this man, championship leader. 2 points in it for Timalele. Do you know what? I was about to bash on the spectator cam. Actually, no, I wasn't. You can get that image out of your head right now. But what I was going to have stern words with how the engine sounds were. But actually, well, Terziak goes to P1 by 4/10. Excuse me, I didn't recognise your game, sir. That is mightily quick. And that's his authority stamped. It's up to the championship leader now. Across the line, he goes fastest with a 1 minute 15.3. It is beginning to get tasty. The times are tumbling here, not in Tuscany. I don't think. Don't think Imola is in. I'm pretty sure it's not Tuscany at all. That's where Mugello is, ladies and gentlemen. It is getting rather enthusiastic and exciting in Emilia-Romagna, though. Jamie Tarquin, what's he up to? He's on for another lap now. Through fizzy water. Luckily for him, he made it mineral water by not getting his lap time fully read. And it's a purple sector 2. Flies through the chicane. I'll tell you what, if he's gunning for pole position, now's a good time to put a time up there. Just to ascertain that, yes, I am the big horse in this little cart. Don't know what that analogy means. I'll come back to you on that one. But Jamie Tarquin, committed as you like, crossed the line, and it's P4 on his first proper valid lap in Imola. And those are with tyres that have seen, well, probably the best of them go past. But even so, to be only 3/10 off of the pole time, he can take solace in that. So well done, sir. Running the black and red livery. If there was ever points to be given out for the best looking livery, I might have to give it to Jamie Tarquin so far. But Magico's up there as well. Purple and a colour on his wagon. I was going to say silver, but it looks a bit more brown than silver. Bit more of a brown tinge in there, shall we say. Through the final corner, it was a second up. Even without that much battery usage, across the line, he improves to 1 minute 17.7. And I'd say, if I were you, just go all guns blazing. Push, push, push once again. Plenty of cars on lap times, others getting dutifully out of the way. A smoke screen at the chicane doesn't distract Dirkleton, and very cleverly and very nicely using a lot of the track as he descends down to the first Rivazza. Hopefully the track surface doesn't feel like Rivazza for him as someone goes for a spot of sandcastle making. It's one of the... Oh, Dirkleton spun it as Terziak sets another pole time contender with a 1 minute 15.313. Just over 200, sorry, that Tim will have to find. That is a nice livery as well. Good grief. Sorry, Terziak, I've hardly watched you this qualifying session, but that car is... You do the rest. But Dirkleton hasn't set a lap time. His tyres are completely goosed. And in a car that aims to have some gold attached to itself, well, all he's seen is the trenches. It's been nothing but coal. And that is really sad. Wilco and Co had a bunch of laps. Wilco's gone to a 16.7. Whether he already had a 16.7 or not, my short-term memories escape me. Stark, though, is on a lap and pushing to no end. Absolutely flying. Attacking every single apex like a terrier. Cuts that curb much nicer. Much more aggressive. And that's exactly what we want to see. The limits being pushed and pushed and pushed some more in qualifying. Don't push to check someone's balance in the bank. That's very... Oh, good grief. Stark's gone hugely wide. And what on earth happened there? Well, whatever the case, he's peeling into the pit lane. That was extremely odd. Whether he just missed his braking point completely as J-Lane moves up into P8 with a time of 1 minute 16.4. Big swimmer, though. I haven't been paying attention to again. And he's done absolute wonders. 5 temps just over off the pole time, a 15.8. Given where he started this qualifying session, that is mightily impressive. Well, I was going to say, rip up the form book and the rule book. But for the top two, it's normal. It's business as usual. Normal service resumed. Terziak and Tim, the top two. And then 3 temps to Buck 57 in P3. The only person that hasn't resumed the status quo is this man. The spicy salamander himself. Don't ask. Bathanasi on an outlap here. As are a couple of other drivers. Finally, the spectator cam is doing things to me. I'm not going to describe them on this stream, otherwise I think it will be banned, but it's working pretty well round here. There are a couple of points where it sort of, you know, forgets what proximity is, but other than that, it's doing okay for itself. Through the final 2 corners, Dirkleton going to start another flying lap. Milo about to end a flying lap. He is pushing, and you can tell he is, because there's the Energizer Bunny is dead. We can't save him. But through the final corner, he invalidates. And that will be the end of that. He would have been P3 with that lap time. 3 attempts worth of a gain, but now he's going to have to save his battery and go again. Only 2 minutes left in this qualifying session. Out of the way. Gets, I think that was Stark, and it was. That almost got very, well, way too close for comfort, excuse me. But we wait and see what Dirkleton has in store. Hasn't set a lap time yet. Pressure is on now to do it. And somehow that was still valid. Codemasters, if you need new guide dogs, don't send the invoice to me because I'm not buying them for you. Chicane time. Cuts that curve nicely. Second curve also very nicely and sweeping out through the exit. Very nicely done. As everyone pretty much on a lap or on an out lap. The first one to cross the line on a proper flying lap is this man, as long as he doesn't balls up the final corner, and he hasn't this time. Dirkleton will get a lap on the board across the line. It's a 17.8. It is still plumb last overall on the grid, but it's a valid lap time, and that's what matters. Thanasi across the line, and he is starting another flying lap. That's what's happening, so forget what I just said. Magico, though, is finishing up his flying lap. Wilco's just started his. I think Buck 20 started his as well. We see how my husband gets on, though. Betrothed to the apex of the final corner just for the time being. Pushing to the limits, but actually has saved some battery. Now, just like Thanasi, he's going for the sensational slobber knocker. Or at least he hopes that is the case. Big swimmer into the pit. His session is run. He retires from it. And a great effort from you, sir. Absolutely fantastic effort, it must be said. Oh, spin! Jamie Tarquin spins it! Into the gravel he goes. That was his final chance to get a lap on the board. It's not going to happen here. P4 is the most he can hope for. But there are so many drivers on laps. Buck 20 is not one of them. But he saved his battery and there is time left in surplus. No, there isn't. That's his session done. J-Lane's session run as well. They've miscalculated it horrendously. And that'll be the end of that. Dirkleton crosses the line again, goes up to 10th with a 16.9. Well done, you. Thanasi goes pole with a 14.5. Good grief. Wilco across the line with a 15.7. Oh, where on earth did that come from? The one time I'm not paying attention, that was absolutely stratospheric. Stark up into P10. Magico next across the line. He's 7/10 up. A little bit more. He does improve position into P12. Good job, monsieur. Buck 57, he's facing the wrong way. He won't improve. There's another white card across the line. It's Tim. How much time's he gained? Is it enough? DRS open. It's not enough. And that is an ominous, ominous margin unless Terziak can do something about it. So far on his lap, he's only half a 10th up. He's going to need a huge surplus in his final sector. Cross the line. P2 for Terziak. But the man of the hour, and cometh the hour, he delivers. Thanasi returns to pole position with a statement. Waited for this moment on F124. F123 came and went. He'd already won 2 championships on that game. Nothing left to prove. New game. Now everything is left to prove. And that is one hell of a way to start off proceedings on F124. Feels like the pole margin I had at season 15. Anyway, Thanasi, almost 6/10 in it. Pole position, and the Xbox boys rejoice. It is a great day because Terziak P2, Timalele P3, Buck 57 P4, Xbox boy Jamie Tarquin, despite spinning on his final flying lap, in P5. Wilco 6th, Xbox boy Big Sam, well done sir, in P7. Pretty much he's absolute centre of the grid with Milo, Buck 20, Stark, J-Lane, Mr. Magico, my husband, in 12th, and Dirkleton rounding out our grid for the race in Imola. The Imola Grand Prix, short for immolation. You can probably guess what that means. Here we are in the pit lane. And as you can tell by the noise coming through my ears, the crowd are going absolutely mild. In fact, it's worse than mild. They're not even making any noise. There's literally... They're all mute. They've all had their voice boxes removed. Their esophagus is only fed by a tube. That man there was very happy with seeing cars on the grid. That's the most excited man I've ever seen. Just to see an F1 car stationary. Yes! Stationary cars! My favourite! Woman and a wife and husband. I'd say woman and husband, but that sounds weird. Wife and husband on the left there, I assume. Or maybe it's bad to assume because it's 2024, but I've assumed anyway. Oh no. Anyway, they're cheering for joy. Who are they cheering for this race? Who are you cheering for this race? Sear Forest, of course, will be cheering for Big Swimmer. Me, myself, cheering for my husband, Magico. But let the anticipation evaporate. It's 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go. And it's not a great start for Thanasi. Terziak with a thunderbolt start. 3 wide towards turn 1. Timalele and Terziak get into the lead. Who will come out into Tamburello first? It's Timalele who takes the lead. Thanasi down 2 positions as Big Swimmer. There's a huge tussle going on in the mid-pack. Side by side, Stark and Big Swimmer into the Villeneuve chicane. Round the outside goes Stark. And they're all through the first few corners safely. Timalele scampering away into the lead. Terziak P2, Thanasi already firing up the afterburners as Buck 20 making moves on J-Lane. Trying to go around the outside into Piratella. What a move that would be. But a cold shoulder from J-Lane says no thank you, which Buck 20 will appreciate. It's very warm. Dirkleton getting racy, but no avenue into mineral water. And so the games continue. Tim in P1, Terziak second, Thanasi in third, Buck 57 in fourth, Jamie Tarquin in fifth. Right underneath the diffuser of Buck 57 almost, but nothing doing. As through the final corners they go, that is the first lap of Blackout complete on F1 24, and nobody has binned it. Congratulations, everybody. Fastest lap for Timalele because he's the first one to cross the line. Terziak P2, but hardly any battery left. Thanasi has loads to play with, as does Tim. And Terziak dumping the battery, perhaps in a bit of defense as well as offense. But look at the exit he's got. Thanasi's all over him. But it's been an issue. Jamie Tarquin's had it off. He's had it off. Shipped positions to Milo, to Wilco, and now to Stark. Through goes one of the Williams drivers when all is said and done. Already Jamie Tarquin nipping at his heels, looking for a potential avenue down the inside, but nothing doing there. Thanasi will move up past Terziak into P2, and the conquest for top honours at Imola very much on for the current Red Bull driver. When we actually get equal cars back, please, co-masters, and thank you. Mercedes driver P1, Red Bull driver P2, Ferrari driver P3, Red Bull driver P4, McLaren driver in P5. It's almost like real life, but Sergio Perez actually knows how to drive a car. Through the final 2 corners, and, well, Tim has loads of battery, but a huge snap of oversteer on the exit. Does well to catch it. You'd think Thanasi and Tim were teammates based on the liveries, but DRS, of course, enabled after only 1 lap with the 2024 regulations. And Thanasi picks up where he left off in qualifying, and through into P1 he goes. He reclaims his crown at the top of the table. But still very early days and a long, long way to go in this race. Dirkleton gets racy. Past Buck 20 he goes. Magico just keeping a watchful eye on proceedings. And crucially, keeping others within range. Although going wide there probably is not part of the plan. Wilco looking vicious, looking feisty. He's like an XL bully. And if it was a previous government, that dog would have to be put down straight away, even if it was nice. But luckily we have a new government, so perhaps there is a future yet for the extra large bully boys. We'll have to find out. Like I always say though, it's not the dog, it's the owner. So if you think otherwise on the contrary, you're an idiot. Jamie Tarquin's already got a time penalty. He's got an average of 1 warning per lap, and that's not good. It's a 3 seconds time penalty already. And there's a smoke screen over at the first Rivazza because, well, Milo's clinging on for dear life. Tim's had an issue out of the final quarter. He must have done because Terziak absolutely takes him to the cleaners. And now Buck 57 is looking racy. Although Tim defending with DRS. Buck 57 doesn't have it on this particular occasion. Big Swimmer goes through on Stark. Also with DRS assistance. Justice for XL bullies, says my brother. Indeed. Justice for the extra large bully. Unless your name is... Oh my god, Big Sam with a huge spin! What on earth happened there? out of absolutely nowhere, the car snaps on him. And it's exactly what I was talking about in Magico's case. He just has to wait for other drivers to make mistakes. They're all still sorting out their own teething issues. On this handling model, F124 does indeed strike again. Aliens very much abound. Terziak, meanwhile, keeping Thanasi in range. Thanasi with a lot more battery, though. And he might know it. Slipstream is powerful, but how powerful is it? Because if you have more battery, of course you're going to use it to your advantage. Of course you're going to be able to pull away. Much, much easier and much more unforgiving is a lockup on this game. That to have one could be very, very costly indeed, especially to the left front tyre, which I feel like will bear more of the brunt. Milo straight into the pit lane, though, whether he's got damage. Engineered insanity, according to his car. Unfortunately, the only engineered insanity is that he's already had front wing damage. So, Big Swimmer moves up into P12 then. That is great news. But Terziak within 2/10 of Thanasi. Good grief, like I say, everyone having their own teething issues. J-Lane's had an issue of his own. And that is a trip to Voldemort, who's going to greet him with open arms. It's a trip to the pit lane, actually. You don't want to trip with Voldemort because that's not good. Magico, though, meets someone on track again, and it's another driver who's made their own mistake. And my husband, licking his lips at the opportunity of having fun with another man, is getting very close and personal through Piratella, within 1/10, practically sniffing the diffuser of J-Lane. Get the court order straight away, sir. That is not acceptable, but in the Blackout Racing League, well, almost anything goes. Don't get ideas, people. That battle seems to have neutered itself, but oh no, Magico! It's a track limits time penalty, although a lot of people have already got them, so I don't blame you. Dirkleton, though, could be on the move. Wasn't the best qualifying session from him, but he seems to have gathered it all up. He's gathered momentum together, and he's going to put on a mighty show. Through now on Stark he goes from the very back of the grid. Dirkleton breezes through, and into P7 he goes. Although a snap on the exit was not part of the script. Buck 20 trying to go around the outside. On the grass goes Buck 20. Stark thought about going to the inside. He had a first-class ticket. Front row seats to Buck 20 going round the outside. Stark feints to the inside. Tries to put Dirk off kilter. Does not work out that way, though. And Big Sam's into the pit lane. He's onto the hard tyres now. Going for the early pit stop. Perhaps that'll pay dividends later. Who knows? I have no idea what the tyres do in comparison to F123 because I've hardly played this game. Flying over the chicane. And, well, I'm getting F123 flashbacks because between these two, almost nothing to separate them. Terziak's done a lot of battery saving. He's got a full battery to play with. Slight lock-up into the first Rivazza, but he's ravaging that gap. He's absolutely reeling in the biggest fish on the planet. The two-time champion on F123 sent crashing down. Terziak sweeps through into P1. Lap number 7 arrives, and Terziak is our new race leader. Nicely done. A snap on the exit of the first section of Tamburello, though. Not a part of the plan. Thanasi can just put him under a little bit more pressure now. It's all he needs to do. Track limits permitting, of course. It seems like they're already skating about on the tyres. Which given, well, Thanasi's on mediums, Terziak on hards. Perhaps already the hards coming into their own. That's two different strategies here. Thanasi knows how powerful the slipstream is. Going to try and do a bit of battery saving. Terziak says, no, sir. I'm going to get away while I can. Forbid him from entering DRS range. And ensure that I have a stress-free run into lap number 8. He's almost fulfilled it. Timalele, though, the only thing he's fulfilled is the ire of the stewards. A 3-second time penalty. And just as quickly as that happens, Buck 57 also has a 3-second time penalty. It's all kicking off. Thanasi burning a bit of battery and actually getting on the gravel, and that's cost him really dearly through the two Rivazzas. Equally, though, with DRS and a bit of slipstream, that 1-second gap already evaporating. 3 tenths gained, 4 tenths gained, half a second gained into Tamburello. That's how powerful it is. And Wilco, meanwhile, is going through into P3. The podium positions await and are beckoning for Wilco. And he says, I'll accept that. Thank you very much indeed. Through he goes with DRS assistance, but sliding through that second section of the Villeneuve chicane. That's going to absolutely kill his race. Thanasi, though, goes back through on Terziak. Must have been a mistake into Toaster. Well and truly overcooked by Terziak. And well, there's no consolation at the end of the day as to how many food puns I can make for that one, because Thanasi retakes the lead of the Grand Prix. Timalele back through into P3 as Wilco's made his own error. A brief yellow flag. There's another yellow flag behind us. Stark's had a bit of an issue out of the Villeneuve chicane. All kinds of rust on the new game, but I don't blame them. Been on F1 23 for so long, a handling model that's actually good. And now they're on Mario Kart 9. This is actually what Nintendo made as the model, and Codemaster said, can we buy it off you? And Nintendo said, arigato. So I assume they made the purchase already, as my computer has a skill issue. But yeah, whatever the case, Milo's got another 3-second time penalty. That's very bad. Dirkleton, can I just say, well done you, sir. Hasn't gone under the radar. I've looked at a few of the overtakes that he's done, but from the back of the grid, whilst others have made mistakes around him, he's kept a cool head. He's kept all 4 wheels on the road, apart from the times where he almost went off at Tamburello. But other than that, been a very, very consistent drive indeed. And that's all you need. Into P7, right in the mid of the grid. And it's good points. And that is what counts. Dirkleton, of course, an Aston Martin driver. Him and Jamie Tarquin, the Aston Martin duo. Once Codemasters fix equal cars, please and thank you. Gap out front, though. Thanasi leads by almost 2 seconds, and time has frozen at the front. Terziak pushing, absolutely he is. He's got the battery capacity of a Tesla Roadster. And I don't mean the... Oh, good grief, that's a huge snap of oversteer once again. And, well, what you can't say is Thanasi isn't pushing, because as evidenced in front of your very retinas, he certainly is. But push as hard as you can, try as he might. Terziak's back within a second. And the games continue. Timalele's dropped right off the back of the top 2 train. As Jamie Tarquin piling on almost insurmountable pressure into Tamburello. Gets a good exit. Might be worth a think about a move into Villeneuve. Try and send him off the racing line. Just compromise it. Compromise his line. Force him into a mistake. And then easy avenue. Through you go. Maybe he locks up his tyres as well. You have the better tyres. Happy days. In the pit lane, though, it's Dirkleton that arrives into the box. And he's out of the box very, very quickly. And onto the hard tyres, as expected. As Starks had another issue at Tamburello. Sector 1 is not his friend whatsoever. Mostly has driven very well. Terziak, though, has a 3-second time penalty for track limits. And he must have made a mistake. The gap just teetering on the edge of a second. Now back up to 2 seconds. And a huge lockup into the first Rivazza is exactly what he does not need. The one man that should be on the move, though, Jamie Tarquin, as Milo goes through. Starks had another issue. He's on the outside of Piratello, as you can see. A huge, huge problem. Whether it's brake trouble, because he had that problem at the end of qualifying. Buck 50 now, after everything is happening, as Wilco peels into the pit lane and comes into the box. Which is a very sad Monday night. But anyway, Buck 20... is, well, he's quietly made his way up into P5 after all is said and done, so well done him. Magico, my husband, into P6, so well done you. Wilco exiting the pit lane. I can only assume he's on the hard tyres. Can't see why it would be anything else. And Thanasi, on those medium tyres. Our tyres are definitely better because Terziak's easily capable of reeling in that gap at the front. As Wilco indeed does go on the hard tyres. That was predictable. Whilst, well, yeah, like I was saying, Terziak easily able to reel in that gap. Convincingly. Corner by corner. But it's Thanasi going medium soft. Because if he is, that could be very interesting. As Jamie Tarquin makes his own race a little bit more interesting. Unfortunately, also more irate. Because he's got another 3-second time penalty. And I said, did Thanasi have a strategy of medium soft in his locker? The answer is, I don't think so, because lap number 12, or maybe he does, maybe he is that ambitious, but I imagine it is going to be hard tyres until the end. It certainly is. It certainly is. The man 5th place in the championship, looking to make his way back to the top step of the podium, is getting the undercut on Terziak. We know how powerful new tyres are on F123. Will the overcut prove to be just as powerful on F124? The first Mercedes man, Imola into the pit. My husband Magico into P5 and only 3 seconds off of Thanasi. Go on, Magico. Catch him. Show no mercy. Sive that man out of the way. You know what you need to do. The gap's already up to 4.3. Well, it was worth a bit of encouragement, wasn't it? Terziak then assumes the lead of the race briefly as Buck57 assumes another 3-second time penalty. All the penalties. In fact, there's only 5 drivers that haven't got a time penalty in this race so far. One of which, the provisional leader of the race. Through mineral water he goes. Does Terziak pull the pit trigger? And he does indeed. And, well, the game breaks very late for him, but gets the speed just right, which is good news for him. The first pit box belongs to the Flying Scotsman. Onto the mediums he goes, and oh no! Jamie Tarquin has a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. You naughty bratwurst, why would you do that? Well, if we look at the details of penalties, Jamie Tarquin... Well, sorry. Right, it's not... A start gets a 3-second time penalty, and that means only 4 drivers now have not got a time penalty. Terziak, despite the undercut that Thanasi got, Thanasi only gained half a second, and now the mediums can try and come into play. Some people play checkers, others play chess. Has Terziak put Thanasi in check? We are about to find out. Buck20, though, leading the race. Maybe holding out for a safety car, which would be very realistic in Formula 1 terms. Cue Dirkleton spinning off at the Villeneuve chicane, crashing all 4 wheels off all over the track in a safety car. Thankfully, that didn't happen, and I'm glad it didn't happen, because that would have been very, very unnice. So we'll gauge what the pace is like between Terziak and Thanasi, although with a 3-second time penalty, perhaps Terziak, the best he can hope for, is P2 in this Grand Prix. Your order of the race so far then, ladies and gentlemen, as we head now onto lap number 14. Buck20, your race leader, just under 9 seconds separates him and Thanasi. Terziak in P3. Imola in 4th. His teammate in actual livery cars, the 2 Mercedes drivers, are 4th and 5th. Jamie Tarquin in 6th. Buck57 in 7th. Well, Jamie Tarquin's in 6th, but we do have to remember he has about 4 years' worth of penalties, and that is not good. Buck57 in P7, 6 seconds worth of penalties for him. Milo in P8, Wilco in P9. Dirkleton, no penalties to his name in 10th. With J-Lane, Big Swimmer and Stark rounding out our running order. No drivers have retired from this Grand Prix, which is great. They've managed to weather the storm. Oh, now it gets interesting. Thanasi's also got a 3-second time penalty. And that gap is down to 1.3 seconds. There's a little bit of a snap. The car getting very twitchy. In Thanasi's very capable Mitz as Jamie Tarquin moves up into P5 on the inside of the chicane. Past Magico he goes, with albeit 13 seconds worth of penalties more. As there is a yellow flag, and it is Dirkleton that's caused it. And I'm so sorry if I cursed you. That was not my intention at all. But he has lost both end plates on his front wing. And, well, unfortunately for Buck20, it's not a safety car. He set out 15 laps on the hards. 15 laps! He must be going softs at the end. If anything else, it will be to get the 3 fastest lap points on offer in the Blackout Racing League. And that's the beautiful thing about Blackout. Dirkleton has a time penalty. So now it's only 2 drivers that can win the Good Boy Award. The current one that is winning the Good Boy Award is leading the race. The other one winning the Good Boy Award. Mr. J-Lane has a 1 in the position he's in, albeit it's P10. But crucially for him, no time limit penalties. A bit of a sniffle there. As preposterous pollination continues to ravage my throat, Stark has another 3-second time penalty. It has not gone his way at all. And that is an understatement. He is 50 seconds behind Big Sam up the road. 50. Would need one hell of a safety car. Buck 20 did not get the hell of a safety car he might have hoped for, but still a valiant stint on the hard tyres. Will surely go onto the softs. Indeed, he does. Soft tyres for the Buck Brigade, or one of the Buck Brigade. Away he goes. Timalele in third, Jamble in fourth, Buck 57 moves up to P5, and Buck 20 will rejoin behind his teammate, and he'll hope ahead of Wilco, who's absolutely tobogganing his way towards the second McLaren driver, but nothing doing there. The games continue. Up at the front, it's 1.5 seconds worth of a gap. Thanasi just has to weather the storm. In figurative terms, it's absolute sunshine and rainbows here at Emilia-Romagna. But in his case, he just has to keep consistent, not overdo track limits, because if he does have those track limit warnings, he might have to hold back. And in his efforts of holding back, he might misjudge it a little bit. And if he does misjudge it a little bit, Terziak is within that 3-second window, ready to pick up the spoils. And the spoils, by that, I mean the winner's trophy. For the first winner's trophy on F1 24. And wouldn't that be something? Wilco has another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, as Buck 20 is within, very much within, DRS range of Milo, who gets out of the way. Actually went pretty wide at the first Ravazza. Buck 20 already has DRS. And Milo perhaps trying to use a bit of slipstream to protect himself now, but Wilco also with DRS might have it signed, sealed and delivered. Royal Mail style, first class standard, around the outside into the Tamburello section. Milo goes wide at the first corner to boot, and Wilco, with the assistance of the Royal Man, delivers a great move. And into P7 he goes. Buck 20 though, looking for the eyes on the prize, and his prize is Buck 57 in 5th. Actually, all he has to do is stay within the 6 seconds margin. And more than that, P4 is on the cards, because he's 8.4 seconds behind Jamie Tarquin. And you might think that's actually quite a lot of a gap. Not if you have 16 seconds worth of penalties, it isn't. That is most certainly not the case. I'm watching, meanwhile, Novak Djokovic, who's just taken apart Holger Rune. 2 sets to love and 2-1 up. He's already made a break, although Rune's putting him to the sword slightly in this set. Doesn't really matter, actually. More important is the Blackout Racing League, although the gaps themselves have more or less equalised. Thanasi P1, Terziak in P2 with a time penalty as well. 2 seconds behind, and that gap is increasing now. The best of the medium tyres possibly withering away. Timalele in P3 and a comfortable P3 after soaking up the early pressure like a sumptuous sponge from this man, Jamie Tarquin. While, albeit on the soft tyres, they are going to be... No, they're going to be extremely goose. There's no way. How long have those tyres been on? Why have I turned that on? They've been on for 5 laps. Oh dear. Back to penalties. And back to the action elsewhere. There is one man that could be on the move, and he actually did make the move. Magico has got past J-Lane for P10. And on the soft tyres, he's using them to great effect, although with the 3-second time penalty, he's going to have to get a move on. Someone's had a spin, and it's Stark again who's had a spin. He's holding it to the inside just before the chicane. I'm going to actually search. Oh, no, Magico. There's another 3-second time penalty. And that puts Big... Oh, it did put Big Sam back into play, but he's got 9 seconds worth of penalties. Well, there's always next time. Well, what a drive from this man. Some things never change. 22, 23, 24. He's been a winner in the previous two, and he's going to look to be a winner already at the first time of asking in 24. Cometh the man, cometh the hour, he is always there. He is always quick. He always raises your blood pressure if you race against him. He races hard but fair. And all you can say is he's a delight to watch. As though is this man, he put up a good fight in the first stint. The tyre crossover well and truly on the way now. As now it's Big Sam that's had an issue. Into the Villeneuve chicane. Another victim of Gary Ravel. Doesn't really work the same. He's a victim of the gravel, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Sandbox experiences, though, are for recreational time. And not for blackout time, because that doesn't garner any points. Buck 20, though, could finally add some spice to our lives. He is within a second and has DRS on his Buck counterpart. And while he could just stay here and gain 2 positions anyway, he'll obviously want to get past. It's all about pride. And with just under 3 tours of this circuit to go, he's going to give it everything. Just over half a second separates the Buck brothers. They might not even be brothers. They might just be called Buck and Buck for the sake of it. I'm going to call them the Buck brothers because they're now part of the same clan, so have that. And is that Stark having another problem? It certainly is Stark having another problem. He cannot get used to this handling model. Absolutely loathes it. Completely and utterly loathes it, and I don't blame him for 1 second. Like I say, the jump from F1 to 23 to this game is practically alien. More of a chance of finding a more realistic handling model in the Andromeda Galaxy than in this F1 24 game. Big spin! Huge spin into the wall, and somehow that level of contact has not put him out of the race. The only evidence of damage is that front wing end plate, which you now can't see. Thanks, EA. And worse news for him, in what has been a catalogue of catastrophe, Big Swimmer is about to lap him. And this is, by the way, 12th and 13th position, not a case of the leader lapping. To say it's not gone his way is the biggest understatement in all of understatements. Buck 20, though, through the Tosa hairpin, actually didn't get the move done on that previous straight. I thought he would have had every intention and every chance of doing so, but apparently not. One of 2 drivers, like I say, that actually hasn't got a track limits penalty. And he'll look to keep it that way. As oh my good grief, Jamie Tarquin has 19 seconds worth of penalties. So he's going to drop below Milo at this... no, he isn't. Wait, is he? 13 seconds. Is Milo within 13 seconds? He certainly is within 13 seconds. He's going to drop astronomically low. Good grief. Final lap of the race has been started by the leading cars. Can Buck 20 make the move? He's going to dump every morsel of battery there is to dump, as is Buck 57, though. DRS wide open. Buck 57 has run out of battery. Buck 20, he's gaining, gaining all the time to the outside of Tamburello, round the outside of Tamburello. Another move made on track, and Buck 20, even without warnings, would have got ahead, but it's all about pride and power on the track, and he's got those in abundance. Into P5 he goes, and he can hold it there, surely, for the rest of this Grand Prix. But up at the front, normal service certainly resumed. The top 3 will consist of the letter T. Thanasi has been an absolute... Well, he's been the class of the field, a cut above the rest, and every other superlative you can give this man. He did it on F1 23. He's back doing it on F1 24. He wins the first race of Blackout on F1 24. He wins the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Terziak put up a stout charge in the first race and the first stint of this race, but couldn't make it stick and couldn't make the alternate tyre gamble pay off. Tim Alele will cross the line for P3, and now we wait for 19 seconds worth of penalties. Jamie Tarquin, who will claim P4 on the road. But in your actual P4, Buck 20 will claim it. Buck 57 in P5. Wilco in P6. Jamie Tarquin will just claim P7 in this race. Milo just under a second away from gaining even more points in this particular contest. Dirkleton next across the line. From the very back of the grid, it's P9. Even with front wing damage, so well done you, sir. My husband on track, I mean, well done you, sir. You did the best, you did the absolute best you could. And considering the handling model, well done. I tip my hat off to you. It will be Magico. It then will be J-Lane, who will actually be the one claiming P10 on the road. And that is also a man without track limit penalties. And he wins the Good Boy Award, along with Buck 20. Congratulations to you both. I'll send them in the post. Whew, there we go. F124 is here. Started out, well, initially with a bang, and then it sort of petered out towards the end, but I'm not complaining. I had plenty to commentate on, and I had fun, nonetheless, and I hope you did too. We await the podium celebrations. Eventually. There they are. And, well, they practically wear the exact same race suit, so nobody knows what team anyone's racing for. But Thanasi is your winner. Raises the trophy aloft to receive the adulation and applause of the crowd. And now they will spray the 7-Up free, because champagne is now illegal on the podium. Allegedly. There we go. Look at that. Not only that, it's a joyous occasion. It's the first time a woman has been on the podium in Formula 1 history. Only in Blackout. Well, there we are. F124. And Magico, ladies and gentlemen, survived with no assists. Absolutely wonderful. He goes, yuppie. And it's, you know what, fair enough. Fair enough. Well done, though. 6 seconds. Yeah, but, I mean, it's your first league race using no assist, lad. And you still did pretty damn well. So, take solace in that. You did very well in my eyes, so good job. Back to the standby screen, then. We've got a bit of time now in between this Emilia-Romagna. I don't know how much time, probably not that much. But between this Emilia-Romagna race and the Spanish Grand Prix, which will be a 50% race. Will Thanasi continue the winning streak? Or will there be another name that raises to the top in the Blackout Racing League? Well, to find out, we're going to have a bit of a break. But be sure to... Big Sam says it's rough, this game. Oh, I can't even begin to imagine. I'm glad I'm on the watching end of things. It is absolutely fantastic, but yeah, it looks extremely rough. I do not blame you for 1 second. Like I say, though, will there be another name that claims the crown of the Spanish Grand Prix? Or will it be the same name adorning themselves in glory at the top? Tune in to find out soon. Taking a little break. And then it will be the Spanish Grand Prix. Screw it, I decided to stay on the other microphone because I simply cannot be bothered for today. I know it works, I'll probably have it working for next time, but I simply cannot be word. So, we're in Spain. That's where we are. I've had a drink of water. The blood plasma of Christ has rejuvenated me. Djokovic is now 5-2 up, for those of you that are wondering how the next set's going. But what actually matters is we're here at the Spanish Grand Prix. And I am going to get me some lap data up. And then we are going to wait and see who exits the pit lane first. It's Dirk. Get ready, because it will be Dirk. It's gonna happen. Any second now. 30 seconds of the session gone. And out of the garage goes the Dutch driver, Mr. Dirkleton. And that was an interesting engine noise that was made as he exited the garage. I have no idea what on earth just happened there. But we're going to ignore that. We are going to absolutely ignore that. He already cuts turn one very fine. But Big Sam's also out in the pit lane. It's a toss-up between those two normally. They're usually two of the first out on the track to be on reconnaissance, essentially, to figure out what parts of the track have the most grip, what parts don't. Where they're strong, where there might be improvements to be found. All remains to be seen. Spain, of course, is one of the biggest pains in the backsides on F1 24 because there are invisible bumps on quite a few of the corners. Still, the invisible bump at turn 13 exists, and that is how twitchy the handling is. Good grief! The rear absolutely getting away from Dirkleton through that right-hander, which should be full throttle, but is Twitch McGee every other time. That looked horrendous to control. But, luckily for him, not his flying lap. That is what this reconnaissance lap is for, the out lap. And so, as he charges through the final two corners, lifting out a little bit at the final corner, just to ensure maximum safety, away he goes for his first lap, and the first lap of Blackout round Spain on F1 24. Through into turn one, not aiming for a lot of the curbs, and if anything, going down a few too many gears, but through this next corner, full throttle, easy as you like, sweep the car out to the outside, and then it's the 50-meter board. Brake, dart the car in, trail it into the apex, straighten out the wheel as much as possible, plant on the power, here again, 50-meter board, slam on the brakes, pinch into the apex, straighten out the car, use as much of that outside curb as you possibly can, and then into this left. One of the trickier mistresses on this track, and that's why the mid-speed is so easy to get wrong through this corner. A little bit of a lift to ensure he gets through there okay, not using any battery whatsoever. But like I say, just testing out the conditions. That's all you need to do here. Through the sweeping left he goes. Cleanly and cleverly done. Hug the inside of the right-hander. Sweep out on the exit. Not too much to invalidate, but just enough that you can carry the momentum all the way through the penultimate and final corners to complete a lap of the Spanish Grand Prix at a 1 minute 15.9, and now he is sending the battery into Narnia. Big Sam, though, sends Dirkleton's time into Narnia 2 seconds quicker with a 1 minute 13.8. But now we see what everyone else can do. Milo with a purple sector too. And ladies and gentlemen, Novak Djokovic has won in just 3 sets. This might be pushing it, but he might be the greatest tennis player of all time. Through the final corner goes Milo to the top of the timing sheets with a 1 minute 13.489. J-Lane next across the line. What can he muster up? It's third place for the time being. Across the line a black car goes. It's Buck 57 and he's just over a tenth behind Big Sam. But into the 1 minute 13s nonetheless. My husband goes into P6. Remember though, he's got absolutely no assists on his game. And that will make a significant difference and a lot of adjusting that is required. Thanasi on his first lap. Through the final corner. Across the line he goes. And without ERS, he's already in P4. And Jamie Tarquin gets the first into the 1 minute. Well, no, he's not. I was going to say he's the first into the 1 minute 12s. But 20 is the man that's first into the 1 minute 12s. just as quickly as I was about to say, Jamie Tarquin set the timing sheets ablaze. Buck 20 lit up a match and absolutely incinerated that piece of paper. He's into P1. Almost 2 tenths separating the top 2, and they're looking pretty racy between themselves. Save it for the race, lads. Good grief. Anyway, 3 cars yet to set a lap, one of which is this man, Stark, just gone out onto the track. Thanasi, I'm not missing this lap this time, as there is an orange car that's had an issue. It's Milo. He's got front wing damage. Voldemort greets him with open arms, but Milo would rather wish he didn't. Thanasi's still not properly pushing. He is still not properly pushing at all. Probably this is his practice, I'll be honest with you. That is what I'm going to put it down to. Through the final 2 corners he goes, and this time, will he assassinate that battery pack? But it's because he invalidated his lap, and he's also, because he invalidated it so late, he's invalidated his next lap as well. Although, like I say, this is all probably just practice for him. So there you go. Wilco is up to P4. Big Sam up to P5, just crossing the line. 1 minute 13.6. The times are flooding in thick and fast. Magico with no assists is under 2 tenths behind Thanasi. He's the GOAT. Magico is the GOAT. It's official. Don't quote me. The evidence is in front of your cornea. You can see it for yourself. He's into the 14s. And that's what he does. Stark, though, on a lap. Let's see what he's up to. And that is a ferocious amount of entry speed, which is what you can carry in F1 24 at the expense of realism. But through the hairpin we go, as my water has just gone absolutely haywire. Oh, no. Hang on. Tell you why it was. It's because it's cordial and water, so I've got, like, berry-flavoured water, essentially. Berry-flavoured fizzy water. And I've closed my bottle, and it's obviously created a pressure that's exploded. And I've got no excuse. Stark, though, you've seen his lap carry on. You've seen how he's traversed all of the corners. You've seen that he's kept it clean and in-track limits right up until the final corner, and he's ballsed it. Why do I bother saying things? That time would have been good enough for P6, by the way. So actually, I think he probably could have made the final corner easily, but he's just holding himself back and scaring his opposition. That is very clever. Timalele is not on a lap time. I'll tell you someone who is, though. It's this man, Terziak. Very twitchy through the right-hander. You're driving on reflexes. I was about to say on intuition. There is no intuition on this game. You're just driving on your wits and reflexes. And you've certainly got to have both of them about you in order to purchase the most pace out of every single car on this game, which, given EA, will mean it's a DLC on the next game in order to gain a second of lap time. Through the final corner goes Terziak. Is it to the top of the timing sheets? No, it's not. No, it is not. It's just shy of breaking the 1 minute 13 barrier and breaching his way into the 1 minute 12 sector, but it's still a good lap nonetheless. Milo starts another flying lap. We have a mustard car on an out lap. Shall I say a brown car? It's Buck 20. He sets the 1 minute 13.8. He must have had a monstrous lap on his first one because he's got absolutely no battery at all left to play with. Why is it called Buck 20 when it runs 50-50 wings on every track? Why are you just not called Buck 50? Because at least you have a quick reference as to what setup to run at every track. But anyway, Milo's on another lap. Didn't really watch the end of his lap, but he's actually not burning any battery whatsoever. Maybe deciding that the beginning of the lap wasn't his finest work. Jamie Tarquin, though, thinks that the first sector was his finest work, and he's pushing to Kingdom Come. Which makes God very excited. Through the next 2 corners and into the normally flat-out right-hander. That is very slidey indeed, and that is all the indication you need to tell you that the handling on this game is balked. How can you ever expect to have a good time driving this game when hovercrafts are more realistic than F1 cars on this game? Explain that one to me. 2 corners to go for Jamie Tarquin, and Jamble is well, tried to go into the pit lane and almost assassinated himself out of the session. That was almost very odd, but Stark through the final corner, not exceeding track limits. Into P5 he goes this time. Fantastic stuff. 1 minute 13.5. Out of the pits comes not Imola because he's on a lap. And he's got basically full battery. So I don't think he pushed very hard. But through he goes. DRS open across the line. Well, he might not have pushed very hard, but it's a 12.6 on his first lap out of the gate. And that's mightily good, but Thanasi is also just started a flying lap. Through turn 1 he goes, but there are drivers that are on the move. Milo is not one of them. He's 2.5 seconds down on his lap and had a snap of oversteer. So who else is on a flying lap? Well, that is a good question. Let me try and find out for you. That's Imola. He's at the back of this particular train. Stark is at the front of the queue there. Whether there's drivers behind actually going for laps, well, Jamie Tarquin's just finished his, so it can't be him. It might well be Buck57 just behind them, but he is on an outlap, so that will not count for anything. Thanasi at the front of the queue then, through the right-hander, and he's on full battery still. Still on full battery. He's just making everyone's lives miserable by showing that he can still have pace whilst having a full battery in the car and slightly balked tyres. Like, how's that fair? What can you say, really? Through the final 2 corners, and I assume to start his proper flying lap, full throttle, clean as you like. Thanasi goes 3 tenths slower than his last time. Again, a full battery. He's not pushing at all. Again, probably using this as practice. Terziak, well, he's used this lap as practice as well, although he's pushing to no end. Still 6 minutes of this qualifying session left to go. There's plenty of time. Plenty of time for things to happen. But into the pits comes Terziak. Ultimately, not the run he was looking for, but still plenty of time. Still Thanasi doing his own race runs. Stark only 2 thousandths off his previous time, and this is on older tyres, bearing in mind. Stark seems to be one of the kings of getting the most out of his tyres, and across the line he goes. It is not an improvement, unfortunately for him, but still only a tenth and a bit off. So that is not too shabby at all. Buck57, though, has done that masterfully. Almost himself breaching the 1 minute 13 barrier. A 1 minute 13.043 puts him in P4. And that would be very nice. Wilco also had completed a lap in the not too distant past. 1 minute 13.552 into P7. Big Swimmer is on a lap. Just started it. Thanasi still not pushing. Big Sam not too far behind. Could gather a bit of slipstream. Big Sam already 3 tenths up through the first sector. Thanasi's gone off. A mistake made on what is probably a race run for him. That's what I've been presuming this entire time. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. But even so, that's not the confidence boost he will need. He now has to regather his own psychological momentum and go again. Big Sam, though, is going again at quite a lick. DRS open towards the end of the second sector. Let's see what the split is. It's a purple sector, too. He's 4.5 tenths up on his previous time, using all of the track through the sweeping left. Hugs the inside of the subsequent sweeping right. Only 2 corners now to go, and he's just got to pin it. Have the bravery and have the commitment and the courage to hope that the car will stick itself to the floor. Across the line, Big Sam moves up to P6 with a 1 minute 13.3. A great job from the feistiest swimmer. You saw nothing if I span in the pits. Well, luckily for you, I didn't see that. But I'm sure there'll be a clip of it somewhere. Stark is not out there. It's Dirkleton that's out there. 18 seconds down on whatever his previous time was, and he's into the pit lane. So everyone in the pits, Dirkleton says that's his session ran. Eventually managed to evaporate his time down to a 1 minute 13.9. Still pretty impressive, all things considered, considering he started the session at a 1 minute 18. If there was an award for most improved, it would be you, sir. That's the sound of me hydrating myself with the heat of competition as Milo has started a flying lap. Towards turn 1. For me, brake when the concrete on the left changes colour and then sweep it through these first 2 corners. You want to almost be full throttle all the way through that second corner. You've got to be on it as early as possible. You head now, 50-metre board, slam on the brakes, keep it to the inside, and nicely done on the exit. Milo sweeping through as he brakes late as you dare into that hairpin corner. Slightly wide on the mid to end phase of it, but carried the momentum supremely well in the early stage. This corner, the bugbear of many drivers. Milo has no such problems. Is it full throttle through here? Yes, it is, and comfortably. A slightly earlier turn-in then required. Other drivers take notes. With a purple Sector 2. Seems to be Sector 3 where all the time seems to slide away from him. Very cleanly done through that first couple of corners in that last section. Just the 1 corner to go. What will the time be for Mr. Milo? Hugs the inside. It's P6. 5 thousandths ahead of Big Swimmer. And, well, Big Swimmer is 2 tenths down on his lap. He was pushing to no end, but it will be to no avail. That will be it. But everybody else is going for laps. Everybody else. Milo's just finished a lap. Wilco's just started a lap. Magico's just started a lap. Terziak there on the inside of turn 2, getting dutifully out of the way of all of the cars that are casserolling the Catalunya circuit. Wilco 2 tenths up through the first sector. Into the hairpin, a car of Milo, I think, that just finished their lap. Yes, indeed. Gets out of the way. Well done, sir. Through into the left-hander then. What can Wilco muster up? A bit wide in the first section. Sausage curb on the outside. Probably doesn't do anything drastic, though. And easily full throttle. Blast the overtake button if you can. Just a tiny bit. It gives you so much of a boost. Brake late as you dare. Who's got testicles of tungsten? Wilco's 4 tenths up on his current time. That would see him in the talk for P5. If not slightly more, but a snap of oversteer towards the end of the corner. Pushing the limits and finding the limit. Overstretching it, but can Wilco really improve his position? To the line. P6 with a 1 minute 13.1. He does hold the time that he'd already gained. That was agonisingly close to being inside the top 5, but a good time nonetheless. Mr. Magico looks like he's going for it again here. Hug the inside, my friend. It's faster. And he has done. A lot of drivers on laps, though. One of which is this man. One of which, though, is this man, Jamie Tarkett. Who's crossing the line first? I don't know. It's Terziak. The answer is he's already done a lap. Thanasi will be across the line. Was 1.7 seconds up. It's 1 minute 15. How did that happen? But he's going again. Crucially for him, it is not over until it's over. J-Lane across the line. Goes with a 1 minute 14.0, but it only elevates him to P12. And Thanasi yet to set his final flying lap. Buck 57 has invalidated his lap. He can't go faster. Jamie Tarquin a couple of tenths up, crossing the line, up into P4 and into the 1 minute 12s. Wilco will go into the pits. That's his qualifying session done and dusted. Magico also into the pits. That'll be the end of that, as it will be for Buck 57. There's no time left. Buck 20 was on pole. Does he remain on pole? No, he doesn't. He can't beat his own time. It's between Timalele and Terziak. Tim extends his margin by the slimmest of amounts. So now it's up to Terziak. The final corner beckons. He's hardly up on his time. Has to be a meteoric final sector. It's not enough. It is not enough. Just under 600ths in it. Thanasi, though, will cross the line. Can it be pole? No, it's not. It's P5 for the Red Bull man when he... Cars are sorted, thanks Codemasters. But even so, considering he started the lap with less than half a battery at his disposal, that is a mightily impressive effort. To still be at the bottom end, albeit at the bottom end, but be in the top 5. is something rather incredible. Timalele is your pole sitter then. It's still someone with the letter T that's on pole. Like, leave some talent for the rest of us, like I said. Terziak, P2. Buck 20, P3. Jamie Tarquin, P4. Thanasi, P5. Xbox Boys, rejoice. Buck 57 in 6th. Wilco in 7th. Milo in 8th. Big Sam, Xbox Boy, rejoice in 9th. Stark in 10th. Magico 11th with Dirkleton and Jimothy Lane. Rounding out our grid lineup for this 50% race at the Spanish Grand Prix. Unless it's not a 50% race and they didn't change it, in which case a 35% race at the Paella Panache Bonanza. Into the pits we go, and the crowd infinitely more excited than at Imola. They actually produce noise. They have not had their vocal cords ripped out by hand. They are actually in good voice. And we can get ready, because stuff's about to get heavy at the Spanish Grand Prix. Thanasi, our winner last time out then, at the Spanish Grand Prix in Season 15. Who won the race? Oh, it was me. I won it. And it was I got the mother of all safety cars. I led pretty much the whole race other than the safety car bit. And then there was a safety car at the end. It came out just as I'd gone into the pits, which was just the most perfect timing. Therefore, the safety car intercepted me, and I remained in the lead until the end of the race. And that was really fun. And I got fastest lap. So that was a good race, but can anyone inherit the same fortune that I had last season into this one on F124? Who will be the crown victor overall on this game so far? We are going to find out. Thanasi in the pound seat, but has to come from 5th on the grid to be a winner twice in a row this weekend. Maybe not as strong at the Spanish Grand Prix, who knows, but considering most of his session was spent race prepping, he did pretty well. It's 5 red lights in Spain. And away we go. And it's Timalele blasting off of pole position and absolutely flying. Look at Buck 20. What a rocket ship of a launch he got as he's to the outside of Timalele, using the soft tyres, going round the outside on the soft tyres and into the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix. A huge spin, massive spin there for Buck 57. Had qualified so high and has now plummeted so low. Wilco does the same. It's a catalogue of disaster at the first couple of corners. Up at the front, though, it's business as usual for Buck 20 at the front. Timalele P2, Terziak P3, Jamie Tarquin P4. Thanasi hasn't moved up yet, but there's 33 laps of this race, so there's a long way to go. Big Swimmer in P6, Dirk up to 7th, J-Lane in 8th, Magica up to 9th. What a start for J-Lane, Dirkleton and Magico. Milo in P10, 3 seconds back. Something happened between all those four, or some of them, well, the enemy of misfortune and caught up in a terrible scenario as Jamie Tarquin goes down the inside at the right-hander. That's a pretty unorthodox place to go normally. And Big Sam is getting very racy on the back of Thanasi. It's all happening at the start of this race, but how much longer can Jamie Tarquin stay ahead? Because look at the gap between himself and Terziak. Look at the battery Terziak is deploying. And through sweeps Terziak. Timalele thought about a move up ahead into turn 1 to reclaim P1, but it wasn't to be. Has to bide his time. Patience can be rewarded, especially considering there are 31 laps of this race still to go. Do not need to do anything overzealous, not currently. Top 2 trying to scamper away. Those soft tyres will only have so much pace in them before the mediums come into a league of their own. Terziak on mediums. Jamie Tarquin on hards. Thanasi on mediums. Big Sam, I believe, on mediums. Yes, he is. Dirkleton on the mediums. J-Lane on the hards. Basically, only one person is on the softs, and they're leading the Grand Prix. So I'm not saying that they're a visionary, but I am saying that they're a bit of a visionary. Magico's just gone round the outside of J-Lane, but a lock-up. Getting used to no assist is such a tricky mistress, but good space left. Side by side, J-Lane using the momentum round the outside. Plenty of space given. Immense respect between those two. It's J-Lane that wins out. Great piece of racing, and Magico learning all the time how to use no assists on this F124 game and doing a damn good job at it as Tim moves back up into the lead. Thanasi gets past Jamie Tarquin, a small lock up ahead probably from Terziak, but Thanasi begins his charge towards the top of the charts. That's a tongue twister if you say it 10 times fast. There's a yellow flag. Starks had an issue. A big issue. £1, please. That's no, well, £1's no consolation. He's spun and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassment and it's a crushed ego. We saw how the change for the lead ebbed and flowed. Tim trying to push like a stabbed mouse out of that corner, and the back end getting very twitchy as a result. Buck 20, though, with much more disastrous consequences. The gravel turns to squares. That's the consequences that are particularly bad. Terziak now within DRS range, though, and that, well, one small error has catapulted and catalogue of even more consequences in the direction of the McLaren man. Oh, my God, Thanasi's made a mistake. I did not think I'd be saying that. My voice was not prepared at all. Thanasi was in P4, now in P8. And now Magico could be on the move. Go on, son. He's using the battery. He's gaining on Thanasi. Surely he's not going to try it, but Thanasi's going to go for it on J-Lane. That's why, down the inside, before they even reached the apex, he'd sliced his way in front. And the slicing and dicing of the grid has to start again from an even lower position for the man who won at Imola. The three-way fight for the lead, though, can start getting tasty. What can get even more tasty, though, is this man's race. Big Sam is having a stormer. The medium's having more purchase currently. DRS open, the straight though so short, nothing was going to happen there, but he's cleverly saved his battery. Jamie Tarquin has a lot less to battle back with. And all Big Sam needs to do is carry this momentum, which he's done well through that corner. Penultimate corner keeps Jamie Tarquin well within range. Final corner a little bit wide, but DRS and a healthy helping of battery is surely going to propel Big Swimmer into P4 of the Spanish Grand Prix. Through he goes, and that is absolutely delightful for him. It's devastating for Jamie Tarquin, but remember, the hard tyres will come into their own eventually. So, Big Sam has to use these mediums while he still can, and a slide through turn number 3. It's almost like you have dirty air when you overtake a car, not when you're behind them. That's strange, isn't it? Buck 20, while all of that was happening, by the way, you would have seen on the left-hand side, took the lead of this Grand Prix once again. Thanasi, meanwhile, is back up into P6. And that is a 4-car train. Dirkleton trying to keep up with the 2-time F1 23 Blackout champion. J-Lane in that train, and Magico keeping the well, it's not Williams driver anymore. It's been a while. It's been a while. J-Lane drives for Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo versus Mercedes. J-Lane keeping himself in the swing of things, and that's very wide. A huge lockup for Magico. Again, no ABS. A tricky mistress at the best of times, especially while you're trying to learn it on the fly in the middle of a blackout league race, as Tim Alele retakes the lead again using DRS. These two basically defending each other and turning defense into attack and vice versa to keep Terziak behind, who's looking very, very quick indeed. Jamie Tarquin overtakes Big Sam again, but Big Sam almost tries to go around the outside of turn 3. Could have a nibble into turn 4. Look to the inside, but Jamie, well, he slams the door on that particular opportunity. Says, no thank you, sir. Another smokescreen from the top 3, which slowly lifts itself off into the atmosphere. It's pollutive racing, but we hope it's good racing. J-Lane, meanwhile, got in front of Dirkleton, and Magico could be on the move. Seems to love the Spanish Grand Prix, where there's more flowing corners. It can be easier to get used to no assist because you have to worry about braking less, and also the aerodynamics are carrying you so much that in terms of the throttle application, it's already normally sorted itself out for you. This corner's the bugbear. He's done very well there that time, but just a bit too eager on the loud pedal, and that will send him flying backwards, but through this sweeping right-hander next, and he's done very well through there. Terziak, though, straight past Buck 20, who lost a heap of time, wasn't within DRS of Timalele ahead, and now the quest for P1 can well and truly begin for the Flying Scotsman. Battling behind, though, Dirkleton's back past J-Lane again, and J-Lane's gone extremely wide, and that opens the door. It's a gift for Magico. No time like the present, and he well and truly has been gifted there. Into P8 he goes, pressure being applied by J-Lane, but Magico says, no thank you, sir. I am the captain now. At least for 2 corners. It's the slow corners where no assist can always seem to get you. As long as you keep the wheel straight, you can slam on the anchors, but as soon as you start turning that wheel, you've got to let off the brake pedal. Look at the momentum Magico carried through the left-hander. The closest battle on track is about to get tasty, as through the right-hander they go. Magico well and truly in range, pulling to the outside of Dirkleton. Brake as late as you dare, and a huge lock-up, but managing to keep the momentum, has the inside line for the right-hander. Thinks about it, but nothing doing, and it's exposed him to J-Lane once again, trying to go round the outside, carries the momentum. Magico, well, actually quite smartly, thinks that, actually, I don't need to stay in this particular battle, and indeed, he doesn't. Something just fell over on my desk, and I think it was aliens, because I can't tell what it was. And I'm concerned, but it doesn't really matter. Buck 20's already into the pits after only 8 laps. Onto the medium tyres. It could be a 2-stop job here. In a game where the tyre wear is so much more aggressive on certain parts of the car, perhaps having that extra surplus of pace will be the difference maker. The order so far then, Timalele from Terziak, who's keeping Timalele honest in DRS range. Jamie Tarquin in P3, Big Sam keeping him honest in P4, Thanasi in P5. Gaps about 3 seconds, but you can't deny he's not pushing. Actually, no, you can't deny he is pushing. He is pushing for life every single pound that he's worth. And he's worth a lot of money as a multiple times champion. 2.8 seconds the gap. He is reeling it in. 4 attempts through this final sector. And the belief will go stronger and stronger. The confidence will go higher and higher. Although when you go wide on the curbs on the exit, that doesn't really help proceedings. No track limits penalties, though. We've gone further on in this race than we have in Spain in terms of track limit stuff. So that's good, isn't it? Milo has made it onto the back of this train, then. J-Lane, Magico, Dirkleton and Milo all in a 4-car train, which Buck 57 could join soon. Another small lock-up for Magico, but it's not hindering his progress. Carrying great momentum through turn number 3. He's carrying insane momentum through that corner, but there's just no time. He runs out of road. And before turn number 4, once again, just has to wait patiently. Last thing you want to do is be overzealous with no assists. Trust me, I would know. I have been there, and I'm still very much doing that. Big Sam can actually have a good amount of solace in this, because he's keeping Jamie Tarquin well within range. His mediums will probably have crossed over with the hards in terms of which tyre has the superior pace, but even so, using the DRS, horse and carriage kind of effect, just to pull him along, protect himself from Thanasi for the time being, although he's gained 7 tenths on this lap alone, which is quite the statement once again, but Big Sam equally doing a mighty fantastic job and says enough is enough. I am not waiting around anymore. Through into P3 goes Big Swimmer once again, actually contending for the podium positions rather nicely. And another slide through turn 3. I hate that. Understeer just doesn't exist. And Jamie Tarquin, oi, that got very frisky. Tried to frisk the position away, but that could have been a plane crash into turn 4. All okay, though. We carry on. Here we are, lap number 10. Already lap number 10, we're into double figures worth of lap times. It's Terziak now, your leader. Like I say, both of them swapping positions all the time as J-Lane and Dirkleton are battling at the hairpin. Dirk on the outside, and there's a hand waving up from J-Lane. Frustration creeping in. As perhaps things get too close for comfort, Magico's had a bit of a moment. It's allowed Milo to get through, but Magico will have front row seats as Buck 57 makes a mistake. Here comes Buck 20 already, who's caught up to this train in record time. The new tyres doing exactly what they're designed to do, as Magico has a little moment. It was always going to happen when you are using no assist for the first time. But equally, it will still be a moment of frustration. We've got to acknowledge that. And he does peel into the pits, trying something a little bit interesting. Maybe noticing what Buck 20's doing and thinking, you know what, actually, I could get used to this. Maybe some team orders coming into play. Miller might not need them, though. Thinks about the inside line on Dirkleton. Sends him offline slightly. And that could open the opportunity up later. And a huge slide and a snap through there. Buck 20, his teammate, almost runs straight into the back of him. But it does mean it's an easy pass for Buck 20, who can now get on up the road for Dirkleton. And on those new tyres, it could be, well, it's going to be a turkey shoot. It's going to be an absolute turkey shoot. It's going to be a goosing. Look at how powerful of a grip those new tyres have. But Dirkleton defends well. Using the straight line speed and the momentum, just keeps Buck 20 at bay for the time being. But look how much more corner speed he has. Using battery, using DRS, gaining all the time. Would have thought about he was going to switch to the inside, but no, he does not indeed. Because all he has to do is switch back at the hairpin. There's the evidence, ladies and gentlemen. New tyres are the way to go as Timalele retakes the lead at the front using DRS. Because Terziak's had a moment into the first couple of corners. Once again, he drops a few seconds through whether his own mistake or some other interesting eventuality happened. I have no idea. No consolation, whatever the case. He's now almost 4 seconds back from Timalele, and all the hard work has to happen all over again. Buck 20, though, up into P6. Probably saw that coming, given the state of his tyres, which are extremely new and extremely fresh. And who knows, maybe the alternative strategy, the two-stop, is the way to go. Only time will tell. Still that three-car train between Jamie Tarquin, Big Sam and Thanasi. Just about equalising between themselves, all sliding about horrendously. As the car, they just have no feeling and no gauge of what the car is doing or how it's behaving. Because the car behaves like a snotty teenager. You don't know how he's going to react next. And more often than not, he's going to punch your liver out. As there's been a moment, no, my husband, Magico. However, you've got no front wing damage. Do carry on, sir. Terziak into the pits. Thanasi into the pits. Will it be hard tyres? Or will it be something even more? What on earth is going on? Why is my controller rumbling, given that I'm not actually playing the game? That is weird. Buck 20, though. Look at the undercut he's got. Look at the undercut he has got. Terziak right at the back of this train. That's exactly what he needs to happen. As Dirkleton now moves back up into P5. It's getting very tasty. J-Lane to the outside. Could think about diving to the inside. Definitely thought about it. Nothing doing in the end. But this is getting very, very tasty indeed. Timalele with a 10-second gap out in front. There's been a moment. And it's for... who? It's for Terziak. He was right on the back of the train. Now 3 seconds back. It's another mistake he can ill afford. And Buck 20 now, he has even more breathing room. And the undercut he's going to get on Timalele as well is going to be immense. And perhaps, for once, touching all the wood on my desk for Buck 20's sake. And with the McLaren top adorning my massive chest, that the alternative strategy could be the way forward. Oh, the man who won my Good Boy Award at Imola has just been awarded the Bad Boy Award because he's got a 3-second time penalty. But still, will not let this battle go. DRS open. Will he think about a move? He's going to try and go around the outside. Late on the brakes. Thinks about it. Has the inside for turn 2. That got very close for comfort. Dirk does hold P5. It's getting very frisky and feisty indeed as Buck 57 is waiting in the wings just in case the fighting gets too hot to handle. Thanasi then, on the hunt for Captain Wilco. Or just Wilco, he's no longer a captain. What happened? Did they notice that you laid everyone off? Maybe. Although there's some Wilcos that have returned, so I'll give you a pass. Big Sam still remaining within DRS range. Put himself right in contention here. That's a huge, huge slide. He'll still get DRS, which is exactly what he needs, but those tyres are nearly at the point of goosed. And it's not going to be long before he peels into the pit lane, but look how much he's going to gain with DRS at his disposal. Something's happened. It's J-Lane with issues. Big issues, and I don't mean that in an offensive way. You can shut up right now. The issue is there's no right front end plate on the front wing. And that means a trip into the pit lane. Barrier was not the way to go. Or maybe it wasn't Barrier. Maybe something else rather interesting happened. Who knows? Still lots of fighting going on up ahead. Buck 57's up into P5. Terziak's trying to make it up, though. Past Dirkleton. Tries to go for Buck 57. Huge contact. A very optimistic move. And now Dirkleton's got a chance on board with the Dutch driver. Looks to the inside. Terziak's gone wide. Buck 57 could have another go. Another bite of the cherry. But the new tyres are just too much. And, well, there could be an inquest into that one. In fact, I imagine there will be an inquest because that looked very, very tasty and feisty indeed. Meanwhile, Thanasi's had a moment. Thanasi spun it. And as he got front wing damage, I can't tell. I think it might have just been a spin. No, he has. He has got damage. Thanasi with damage. And somewhere along the line, he's met Barrier or some other catastrophic thing. In fact, more so than that, look at the left side of his front wing. They've actually updated the damage model a bit. Actual sections of his front wing missing. Not just the whole left side or the whole front wing or end plate. There are actual levels to this. And it will have to be a trip to the pit lane. And, well, Timalele's peeled into the pits. But look who is there. Buck 20. He's not that far behind, is he? And that is the power of the undercut-ish, although he was with Timalele in that first battle anyway, and now he's just back in that battle, so he hasn't actually really gained any time, which is probably not great for the alternative strategy. But Terziak is back behind Buck 57. Whether that was because he let him through, or whether it's because Buck 57 made the pass, we will never know. Thanasi comes back out onto the track then, on a set of mediums, clear track ahead of him, and he's just got to get his head down, grit his teeth, and eat that horse. Buck 20, agonisingly close to getting DRS, but is just going to miss out. And that's on mediums that are significantly older, by the way. As you can see, that is 9-lap mediums versus 1-lap old hards. And what's happened? There's a yellow flag briefly. I don't know whether that was... Well, I mean, well, it must have been Buck 57 because Terziak's now 3.5 seconds ahead. What on earth happened? But Jamie Tarquin hasn't gone into the pits. Big Sam, though, has. And he's on new hards and he's going to try his very best. Well, to get DRS and pass Buck 57, of course, because he's on 15-lap fresher tyres. But also then to continue his little fight with Jamie Tarquin. And then the momentum will swing in his favour when the tyre crossover happens. Lots still to happen in this Spanish Grand Prix. On board with the worst camera angle imaginable. I've got the visibility of an old age person through this halo. All the visibility of a bat. Big Sam with DRS though, and all he has to do is be patient as the smoke screen is deployed by Terziak up ahead. I can only assume it's him because there were so many smoke screens deployed last race, and they were all from his general direction, so it's Terziak's smokescreen. That's all I'm trying to say. Big Sam well within DRS, doesn't have to do anything over the top, doesn't have to push the boundaries a huge amount. It's going to be DRS. It's going to be not ERS initially, although I imagine he probably would want to get a move on with it because he's nowhere near Buck 57. And why would you not push on and try and make the most of it, as Wilco is our next victim of the 3-second penalty curse. We are over halfway through this Spanish Grand Prix. This has felt like it's flown by for me. Don't know about the rest of you, but Big Sam now getting very racy indeed. He's actually realised, hang about, I'm losing time behind this man. Let me try the outside of the hairpin. Now the inside. Piling on the pressure. Big Buck 57 soaking it up though. The ever-absorbent Buck 57. As they head through the left-hander. And right underneath the diffuser is Big Sam. Don't try and make a move into the right-hander. It's not going to end well if you do. Now, though, once you go through this corner, deploy the battery. DRS is yours. Do you try and do a dastardly dive? You do not, is the answer to that question. But with new tyres, can you get the switch back? He's looking through every avenue possible. But Buck 57 is denying him at the last, which is wonderful defending. Placing his car at all the right places, unsurprisingly. But he peels into the pits now. He sees his work is done, in his opinion. But Big Sam can now get up the road, and he does also have DRS because of where the detection point was. So that's good news for him, isn't it? Lap number 19 of the Spanish Grand Prix. Jamie Tarquin, our race leader. The Aston Martin driver, when Codemasters fix equal cards, thanks. In the lead by 3.8 seconds, but crucially yet to make a pit stop. Timalele has made a pit stop, and he is our net race leader once everyone else peels into the pit lane, that being Jamie Tarquin. Buck 20 is P2 on the road, however, with how early he strapped on the mediums, I would not be surprised at all if he pit onto a fresh set of mediums or softs at the end of this race to finish proceedings. Terziak P4, Big Sam P5, he's pit. He's in contention for a podium possibly in this race. And that's quite unbelievable. What a fairy tale that would be. Millo in P6, Stark in 7th, Dirkleton in 8th, Wilco in 9th, Buck 57 in 10th with J-Lane, Thanassi, and my husband Magico rounding out our lineup. And he is learning no assist, and he's actually, all things considered, doing a pretty damn good job with it. Tarquin finally pits, but Big Sam has got quite the margin ahead of him. Only 4 laps worth of an undercut. Maybe that is all Jamie Tarquin needs. But equally, you do not want to burn up or overuse your tyres. Let's see what happens then. Let's see the ebbs and flows. But Stark's had an issue. Stark's had a barrier issue. And the left side of his front wing has been casseroled. Shredded at the top and at the end plate. He does carry on. And Thanassi sets a 14.8. Good grief. 14.8 on those medium tyres, which are 4 laps old. So if you ever needed evidence that they still have pace, there it is. They have a lot of pace in them. And Thanassi inadvertently going for a 2-stop. But we'll see what positions he can make up. The big battle at the moment then, as there's another problem for Stark going very, very slowly indeed. And, well, I assume he'll try and keep out of the way of Thanassi. As always had a spin. Stark spins in front of Thanassi, and he's in the wall again. Yellow flag sector split, reversing back onto the track. Magico now moves up into P12. Stark is absolutely loathing every single minute millisecond on this game. And I don't have to say anything more than that, because you can see how much he absolutely despises it. Taking a trip through the sandboxes. Tell you what, in a sandbox show, it's a 10 out of 10. Buck 57, by the way, fastest lap of the Grand Prix, has been ripped away from Thanassi, but not by much. Less than a 10th in it, as he crossed the line, but will now set about making a gap between himself and the 2 cars of Wilco and Dirkleton behind, where the battling is abound. Jamie Tarquin has already got himself into DRS range of Big Swimmer. Let's watch that gap just close and close and close. Well, for Jamie Tarquin's sake, you'll hope it will, but a lock-up into the left-hander and a bit of a slide to boot was not part of the plan whatsoever. Buck 20, by the way, that almost got very fruity from me. I do apologise, but he's on fresh mediums as well, and he'll be catching probably the pair of them. Still a chance for a podium for Buck 20 in this Grand Prix. You never know. Don't ever count him out. Stark into the pits, by the way, onto a fresh set of soft boots. And maybe, at least, for the sake of consolation and pity, he can claim a fastest lap on the fresh tyres. As Big Sam already demoted, because Jamie Tarquin with DRS has made the move into P3, and off he goes down the road. 5 seconds between himself and Terziak, 7 laps worth of tyre age, and a compound softer for Mr. Jamie Tarquin. He's already caught half a second. And if he can use these tyres effectively, there's no reason why he can't do pretty incredible things. Big Sam, however, will have a plan of his own and try and use the DRS and a bit of ERS to boot to keep well within the DRS confines of the general Aston Martin driver ahead of him. That's the plan. Although through this last sector, that could prove increasingly difficult because look how much more pace Jamie Tarquin has. DRS has slipped away from Big Sam. And well, the next thing for him to worry about is going to be Buck 20. Although, using the slipstream, he might not have DRS, but look at that. Even without it, he's got up 4 tenths in a straight line. Perhaps Jamie Tarquin has a higher downforce setup. Perhaps didn't use as much battery on the straight. We will never know. Although evidence there dictates that actually I know nothing. Big Sam, though, will keep up for as long as possible. The more he keeps up here, it will pay dividends as the stint goes on. When those mediums do eventually burn out, when Jamie Tarquin will lose the initial purchase, what will Big Sam be able to do? Lap cars are ghosted, by the way, so Stark is going to push this to Kingdom Come. And cause Big Sam a world of problems, because not only has he got Jamie Tarquin trying to scamper away, he's got another car that might phase through him. Here comes Stark on the soft tyres, and through he goes. And, well, Big Sam, choosing not to get distracted, keeps well out of the way. And it's a purple Sector 2. Stark is going for the fastest lap, 3 points in the Blackout Racing League. Can he get them in 2 corners' time? That question will certainly be answered. Through the final corner, will Stark get the fastest lap points? Yes, he does, with a 1 minute 14.1. Nicely done, Squire. And using DRS, slices past Jamie Tarquin. Maybe cars aren't ghosted, and it's just a figment of my imagination. But Jamie Tarquin, clearly his front end going through Stark there. And actually, he's shipped so much time. Big Sam's now back within a second. It's all happening here, but Milo and Buck 57 are fighting. And fighting furiously. Probably. There was some tussling for position, but Buck 57 holds the supremacy for the time being. 5-lap-old mediums, he should easily be able to scamper away, but we don't know anything about this game. I certainly don't. Anything is possible. The handling patch on F1 24 might make the whole game even... might make it 1,000 times better. That's possible. Or not. Big Sam had DRS on that previous straight, but now we'll be hoping he can keep up in this last section. Actually does very well indeed, and should he burn a bit of battery, could keep within DRS range. He might just have got it. I'm not too sure. We'll see if the flap opens. It does indeed open. But for Jamie Tarquin, it also opened for him because he had the lap car of Stark up ahead of him. And so that equalises proceedings, which is good news for him. Buck 20 not catching nearly at the rate of knots I thought he would. Still, that gap remains at about 8 seconds, although that is DRS permitting. Still time, 8 laps to go in this Grand Prix. And, well, one man beginning with the letter T and with the letter T beginning at his name was the class of the field in Imola. Spain's class of the field is Tim Alele by a country mile. Statement win from Thanasi in Imola. Could be a statement win at the Spanish Grand Prix from Tim. A race where he got P2 last season as a reserve driver. He was in a Ferrari car that year. Transfer onto the new game, the Spanish Grand Prix. The pace and the story almost much the same, but Tim is aiming for one better. And what a story that would be. Big Sam, by the way, can I just say, I've been watching his progress closely. He might well have been, might well have been within DRS range. Oh my god, English is eluding me. The DRS flappage certainly isn't eluding Big Sam. And look at how that gap ferociously closes up into turn 1. And have we already seen the best of the medium tyres? Well, evidence, suggests that Buck 57, well, he's the gauge between himself and Milo. And, well, Milo's dropped off like a stone in comparison to Buck 57, but Jamie Tarquin not having that same kind of fortune. Slowly but surely, he's catching Terziak, and again, another Flying Scotsman smokescreen, which is convenient because trains. Within 4 seconds, Jamie Tarquin nibbles into another yellow flag, and Stark is now a Rolex sponsor. Oh, there he is. He has a car as well. No front wing damage this time, though. Flick spins it round, carries on his merry way. And while we're here, ladies and gentlemen, let's check on my husband. Here he is. What a guy. What a guy. What a machine. Big Sam with DRS, closer than he's ever been. Another yellow flag as Stark goes off for some sandboxing. Big Sam, though, pulls out from the slipstream to the inside, and by the time they make it into turn 1, Big Sam is back on the podium in the Spanish Grand Prix. And Jamie Tarquin makes a little mistake on the inside, or maybe just really tightened his lineup. It can gain you a lot of time. Although that's F123 knowledge I'm working with there, so I have no idea. But Thanassi has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. And, well, what I was hoping would be a romp up the field in his case. That's what I was hoping for, but it hasn't happened. And now a 3-second time penalty. He's almost succumbed to finishing in 11th place. Dirkleton and J-Lane can't get rid of each other, though. Into turn 4 once again. J-Lane pulls to the inside. Dirkleton leaves the gap. Every chance for J-Lane to snap up the opportunity like a saltwater crocodile. But nothing doing. Nothing doing for the time being. Great battling between these two, though. Stark peels to the inside of the pit lane. Gets well out of the way of Timalele. Now the gap at 14.5 seconds. Big Sam and Jamie Tarquin on the main straight. And Jamie Tarquin will pay Big Sam's compliments back. Thanks for overtaking me on the previous lap. It's my turn now, sunshine. To the inside, and DRS once again proving it's ever powerful. Its omnipotence cannot be overstated. As Jamie Tarquin moves back into the podium positions, but Big Sam, with such great momentum round the outside, looks to the inside of turn 4. Again, though, Jamie Tarquin just cuts across, and that's the end of that. And Stark has turned into a sponsor board again. He's facing the wrong way, and it's a virtual safety car. Because he has no nose. Oh, Mr. Stark. The drivers have to be careful here. We know the games that the Delta played in F123. Hopefully not the same things happening on F124. Now they just have to play their cards right. Full throttle through the right-hander. Stark goes extremely wide. Jamie Tarquin's going through the sandbox as well to boot. Squares all over my screen, and that makes me very hungry as the VSC ends and Jamie Tarquin has bolted towards the end of that. Played the Delta to perfection, but it's not enough to get Big Sam out of DRS range. And now the calculations do have to begin between these two. In terms of when do I want to be ahead and when do I want to be behind with DRS at my disposal and ERS. We head on to lap number 29, so that means 29, 30, 31, 32. 5 tours of this circuit to go. I know what I'm talking about. 5 tours of this Grand Prix circuit to go. I'm communicating with the online services, which makes me very nervous. But there's 5 tours of this circuit to go. Big Sam overtakes with 4 laps to go. Well, he's going to have to be careful here how he mathematically calculates this. Really wants to make the overtake, actually, as they head on to lap number 31. Because then Jamie Tarquin will overtake onto lap number 32, and then Big Sam will be in the pound seat with calculations correctly done. As J-Lane makes the move, again using DRS on Dirkleton. Like I say, these two super glued, nay gorilla glued to each other this race, but it's providing some awesome racecraft. And I love them for it. Big Sam again with DRS. He clearly isn't listening in, because if he was listening in, I think the mathematical calculations would be hitting him in the frontal cortex at this particular moment. Will he stay behind, or will he be ever the Formula 1 Blackout racer and go for the move anyway? maybe the hard tyres are at that supremacy point now. Maybe he feels like he has the pace. Either way, DRS open. It was easy as you like. Burns half the battery and comfortably careers through into P3 once again. And Big Sam dicing with the podium places and probably loving every second of it. Jamie Tarkin behind, sliding through turn number 3. Much of what Big Sam was doing in the first stint. These two are the other two that have superglued themselves to each other this entire race. Echoes of lockups happening as Wilco breezes past Milo with DRS. Into turn number 1. Dirkleton again goes past JLA. That got very, very close between them. And look who's on the scene. Thanasi is here and there's still points to claim from this race. Still all to play for. Don't ever say it's over until it is over. J-Lane takes a very aggressive line inside. Trying to find a way through on Dirkleton. On board with Jimothy Lane briefly. They head into the left-hander down to 3rd gear. That is surprising, although apparently being in low gears gives you artificially more traction, which is quite weird. DRS permitting. But he does not have permission to go through just yet. But the main straight coming up, he will use that to his advantage. Big Sam actually is kept ahead of Jamie Tarquin on this lap. And Big Sam's managed to keep the battery at his, well, at his advantage, to be honest. 65% for Big Sam. Jamble on 20%. And locking up a little bit into the hairpin. Perhaps Big Sam feels like he can defend this to the end. He can stay ahead. He doesn't need to be behind and use DRS to claim P3 at the Spanish Grand Prix. But we shall soon find out. J-Lane repasses Dirkleton once again. Thanasi's still waiting in the wings. Just in case one of them has a little oopsie. It can happen. 6 temps between Big Sam. Oh, Magico with a 3-second time penalty. It's okay, boss, don't worry. Through the final 2 corners, gap at 6 temps. Will Big Sam push it? He will push it. That's probably not what I do, but I'm not Big Sam. And I'm not currently vouching for my first podium of the season. He has done very well to defend it. Now has to just keep it cool, keep it consistent, save some battery. The big battle is for P3 in this Spanish Grand Prix. Currently, Big Sam is at the forefront of it. Jamie Tarquin pushing to no end in order to try and relieve him of that podium place. One he feels like is rightfully his. In his mind, as Thanasi gets another 3-second time penalty. Oh no. Look at the alternative lines. Big Sam carries so much more entry speed. Jamie Tarquin keeping it in tight allows him to straighten up the exit quicker. It's all the fun of analysing this, isn't it? Jamie Tarquin not very efficient with his battery uses, and he's using more again. And that opens up the door as Timalele crosses the line to start the final lap of the Spanish Grand Prix. It opens the door for Big Sam to have more battery at his disposal, even with DRS. It might not happen for him, but a slide like that could put pay to it. This will probably be what decides P3 at the Spanish Grand Prix. Jamie Tarquin with DRS. Big Sam will have to deploy everything in the book if he's going to keep it, but he doesn't on the one time it matters. Jamie Tarquin goes through into P3, but there's still time yet. But Big Sam in the gravel and sliding manages to hold the car. And my heart sort of breaks for him. It really actually does. Had fought for P3, had driven supremely this entire race. Has driven supremely this entire race. But it's just fallen away from him. Tell you one man that hasn't fallen away, it's this man. Domination, in one word. Domination. Completely and utterly smashing the field. It's a Spanish Grand Prix win to savour. Timalele rounds the final corner. It's a win at the Spanish Grand Prix. Our second winner of F1 24. It's a second different name at the top. It's Imola, the championship leader at the beginning of this week. Might well have it at the end of this one as well, but Terziak will cross the line. It's 2 P2s for the Flying Scotsman. Consistency is key. Big Sam has got a podium. Whether Jamie Tarquin let him through or not, who cares? Big Sam is a podium man in Blackout on F1 24. And it's no more than he deserves after an absolutely superlative drive all the way through to battle with Jamie Tarquin to keep pace with the mighty Jamble. The win at the Las Vegas sprint race wet his palate. So much so, it's a moment to enjoy to infinite amounts. Big Sam, take a bow. It's a podium for the swimmer. And that is absolutely wonderful for him. His first podium, apart from sprint races, in the main event. It's his first podium of the entire season. What a way to do it. What a race from him. Credit to Jamie Tarquin as well for some great racing. Look at that race suit. That almost makes me sick, but I'll let him off. But it's Imola, the handshake, the look at the trophy. He's got enough of those in his cabinet. He's just put a thumbs up. Well, some of us aren't that lucky, you know, but it is a piece of silverware for Swimmer. It's a piece of silverware heading back to I've forgotten what team he drives for. Kill me. AlphaTauri team. For the AlphaTauri team, it's a piece of silverware. Magico says, I lost the car too many times and got scared to drive because I am a pussycat and a poo man driver. You are not. This is the first time you've used no assists in a league race. I can attest to the fact that the first time I used no assists, I spun about 1 million times as well. Although, it all becomes intuitive, and you learn how to push it and when to push it, and you learn how to push it more, eventually. And then you get quicker, and quicker, and quicker, and eventually, you become a Blackout Racing champion. That's my accolades, anyway. F1 24, then. Done and dusted at the Spanish Grand Prix. Apparently, we don't get to look at the leaderboard. I know who the top 3 was. I know the top 4 was, actually. Top 5. It was Mr. Tim Alele at the top of the table. It's 2 T's that win the first 2 races on F1 24. Thanasi and Imola, Tim Alele at the Spanish Grand Prix. In P2, it was Terziak. Consistency is key, and 2 P2s. He will absolutely take that. P3, big swimmer. All of the congratulations flooding your way, sir. That was absolutely fantastic. Your first podium of Season 16, and the first podium of yours on F1 24. And it's only been 2 races on the game. We then had Mr. Jamie Tarquin in P4. Buck 20, the 2-stop wasn't the way to go in the end. It was worth a try, though. P5, still very good points indeed. After that, I have no idea. I think it was Buck 57 in P6. And then Wilco and Milo, Dirk, J-Lane, Thanasi was there. Stark was the only retiree. Magico was last of the finishing crew on the road. But equally, he's using no assists. It's his first week using no assists. And when you consider all of that, actually, I'd say he's done pretty well. So there you are. Whew! My voice made it. I made it. There were no hiccups. There were no gooses necked. There have been no profuse apologies of illness because I haven't had to do so. That's much better. That's much more of what I expect of myself. And we are back like we never left. Maybe it was a new game that got me G'd up for this. Who knows? Albeit the new game was F1 24. I'm going to stop rabbiting on about F1 24 and the capitulation of it. Anywho, Blackout is back. F1 24. And Wilco says it's going to be 23 next week. Well, there we go. Timolele says, my force feedback is absolutely shafted. Yeah, let's put it this way. There's not very many good words to say about F1 24. And Well, there you go. But in Big Sam's case, he's got a great words to say about it. He's just got a podium. How about that? What a legend. He'll say, yeah, stay on F124, please. The others, though, I imagine are saying absolutely flipping not. And, I mean... Yeah, I mean, all that I've seen from breaking the fourth wall for a second in the opinions of the Blackout drivers is that the handling is really non-intuitive and terrible, and I could not agree more. They are back on F123 next week, and it looks like I'm back on F123 next week then, as a result. I've been playing F123 anyway, so I'm still well keyed in on what is the right strategy to go, and I've got all of the good setups on F123. If you pay me just 1,500 quid, I'll give you your setups for the next race. If you want the next race I'll make it slightly lower than double the price. 2,999, take it or leave it. Anyway, in Imola, it was Thanasi that took the win. In Spain, it was Timalele that took top honours. Either way, if your name begins with the letter T, you're in a pretty good place. And that will do it for Blackout Week 6, Season 16. Done and dusted at the Pain and Pain Grand Prix on F124. As you can see from the chat, Wilco's notified me, so thank you. It will be F123 next week. So, there we go. We're back to a game with proper handling. Next week, I'll actually do a session with my new microphone. That'll be fun, won't it? Actually, you know what? While I'm here, Wilco says I am God. Do you know what? Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. I will not question the complex you have built for yourself just yet. Right, I'm applying that. How is that? Can everyone still hear me? Can everyone still hear me? How am I sounding? I don't know how I'm sounding. I don't even know if it's loud enough. But equally, this is the microphone voice you can probably expect next week on F123. And maybe this sounds even more professional. Maybe it sounds like I've just been transported into a realm of white noise. Either way, you can hear every single little breath, every single little I do, every single little I do. Actually, that absorbed it really well. Good grief. Plosives don't exist on this headset. That's good to know. Either way, I don't need the desktop audio because I'm not using it on this. You can enjoy the music, and I'll just have to cope and seethe. Blackout is done. It is done for this week. We are back on F123 next week. Either way, though, we had plenty of racing to enjoy. I certainly enjoyed it. Wilco says, I love the game. Which game? F124. Best game. Oh, you're being sarcastic. Fair point. Anywho, that's what I'll sound like next week. Well, it's no with two O's, so you know he's being serious. Well, there we go. That's what you can expect my microphone to sound like next week. For now, though, I'm going to revert it back to my Yeti stereo microphone to round off what has been, albeit, well, slightly, what's the word? What's the correct word? There is a word for it. It's not forlorn, although there was a word beginning with F that came into my head. It's an unfortunate scenario, really. We hope F124 will be a better game at some point. There's all the talk of it saying such a well-made game, but that's obviously a lie. Either way, here we are. I've got a clip, ladies and gentlemen. I have a clip, and it is from Mr. J Lane. Let me just put it onto full screen, and let me put my sexy face in view. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? It's good to see you all. Let's have a look. I apologise, it's really dark. There's normally a light up there that is on. As you can tell, it doesn't work, and it's off. Genius. So we're going to look at J Lane's clip here. This is called Down the Inside. Him and Dirkleton, of course, had great battles all the way through the entire race. Wilco says, I can see what they wanted to do. I can as well, but they just executed it terribly. I mean, like I say, the fact that the handling on Assetto Corsa on F123 isn't too distant. All they needed to do was evolve. I say not too distant. It's obviously distant, but it's intuitive, and I could actually transfer some of the stuff I did on Assetto Corsa onto F123. Like, all they needed was an evolution and not a revolution. I've said this countless times, and they just didn't do that. They revoluted it. Using the Financial Super app, my new sponsor. But down the inside, Farming Sim, better handling. Yes, Farming Sim, Blackout Racing League next week. Down the inside, here we go. And there's Dirkleton, as you can see, going through, using DRS to his disposal. J-Lane in the wheel tracks as we head through turn number 3. It's all about using the curb. Carries the momentum, though, on the outside. Deploys the overtake to the outside of turn number 4. Just enough space given. That's absolutely incredible racecraft between the two of them. Now we'll turn to the inside of the hairpin. A huge dive down the inside. Space, though, given. Dirk is still there on the right-hand side. I imagine still there's the hand of frustration that I saw earlier. That's why. With a side-by-side from out the hairpin. There's the snaps from Magico, which allowed Milo through just at the end of that. That's some delightful racing. Well done, you two. You put on a cracking show, that race. I really enjoyed that. There are a couple of cracking battles, actually, that I can say that were very, very enjoyable. Those being the race-long scrap between J-Lane and Dirk, and also between Big Sam and Jamie Tarquin. Those were all very fun indeed. But now, we are going to place on the music. And it's time to say a goodbye for this week. While F124, from the driver's perspective, was an absolute horror show, I certainly enjoyed watching it. And it provided some incredible racecraft. So thank you to all the drivers, and well done to all the drivers for making it entertaining. Albeit, it's fortuitous because, I mean, the handling is just off the charts terrible. Which is really unfortunate. But we're back on F123, a game that does handle well, and maybe the racing will get even more action-packed, hot-headed, and all the rest. I am looking forward to it either way. Thank you all so much for watching this week of the Blackout Racing League on F124 for one time only. But an incredible 2 races. If you did enjoy, please consider hitting the follow button. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, KarlsCars. There's a playlist called Commentary. And before this music continues, like I say, playlist called Commentary on my YouTube channel. Go and check it out. It has all the Blackout things I've ever done. I'm still yet to upload about 16 of the VODs that I've done previously, as of the time I stream this, which when I upload it will then make no sense on my channel. But for those of you that are watching now, it will make sense. So have that. There's other places you should go and follow and subscribe to. One of those being RD Magico. He made all of the graphics that you have seen on the standby screen, to the starting screen, to the end screen that you are about to see. He made all of those, as well as some banners below my Twitch channel video, which you can click on and enjoy and have a look at. But either way, he made all of those, so please give him a follow. He's an absolute G, and he's my husband. So there you are. Also give a follow to, well, and a subscription, to Mr. J-Lane on YouTube. Jland3, he has highlights of Season 15 on his YouTube channel, which looks at every driver's perspective. It's so well put together. And Magico helped out with that as well, actually, as a matter of fact. But it is so well put together. So go and check it out if you haven't already. Jland3 on YouTube. Subscribe right now. And of course, a huge thank you to Blackout. As always, I owe so much to them, and I enjoy nothing more on a Monday evening than doing this commentary for them. I wouldn't have it any other way. A huge, huge thank you. Gratitude will simply never be enough, because they've got me to places that I'm blown away by. So thank you. A huge, huge thank you. And I'll be back to do it all over again, I think, next week. Because, I say I think, because I'm off to the Goodwood Festival of Speed on Sunday, which will be very fun. And I'm travelling back on the Monday. Whether I end up back for the evening or if I'm awake enough to do the commentary. Actually, it doesn't matter if I'm awake enough. I'll do it anyway. It's just whether I'm back in time. I should be. Fingers crossed. Knock on all the wood that will be the case. But next week, actually, that is a good thing to check, isn't it? Next week, we are off to the land of Austria and, of course, Silverstone, the British Grand Prix. And then the week after that, 100% O Canada race. Although I think I'm actually not there for it, which is a ball ache because I'm off on holiday. I'm off to the Lake District, I think. Like I say, I have to double check. My schedule's all over the place. But, of course, I miss 100% race. You're all going to have to send me in clips, and I'll react to them when we get to the 29th of July. Anyway, next week, Austria and Silverstone. That is what matters. And that is all the waffling I need to do. Once again, a huge, huge thank you to every single one of you watching. I love you all dearly. Thank you so much to Blackout. As always, I've been Karl Paranik. This has been the Blackout Racing League. And until next Monday, I'll see you soon.
It's just me and you.